what's easier than what's out there right now that solves your problem. And that's basically what it was. It was just not, the website, the competition and stuff like that wasn't put together in a way that made sense for like our niche of looking for things. You always had the same types of things at the top of the page. There was basically no discoverability. Just things like that. And then you're like, this is a problem. How can I fix this? And then you come up with a solution and you implement it. You can just build things.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Stu Talking Podcast with me, your host, Nepherti. This is episode 60 of the podcast. We've been doing this for quite a while. Thank you all so much for your continued support. It really means a lot to me to come this far, and it's really due to your continued support. It really means a lot to me. So thank you to everyone who watches, to everyone who likes, everyone who watches this live, everyone who shares it with other people, or just puts in a little comment or a little like. Every little bit helps. But I do want to take a bit of time before we get started with everything to thank the people who who have been supporting me for quite some time on Patreon. Patreon is a great way for you to support me because YouTube basically demonetizes me, and there will be no way for me to really earn money from anything that I'm currently doing on my YouTube channel at the moment. So the people who support me on Patreon, especially the Snuggle and Ooh tiers, definitely have made a huge difference. So thank you all so much for that. But thank you to all of my patrons, no matter what you're subscribed to. And but if you want to learn more about that, we'll be talking a little bit about that at the end, so you can find out more about that if you're interested. But enough with that. We're gonna go ahead and get started with the main event. So tonight we are joined by none other than by LynxJinx. We're gonna go ahead and get you showing right there. There it goes. All right.
No.
Yeah. And yeah, and it's great to have you on. It's really like honestly, I never thought that I would be meeting with the founder of essentially one of the most significant contributors to the space, the VR space. You essentially run that website, that online marketplace essentially. So it's really a pleasure to be able to talk to you, and thank you for being willing to sit down with me today.
No, you're too kind. Congratulations on the big 6-0. That's a good achievement.
Thank you. It's
but yeah, thank you. You give me too much credit. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Don't worry.
Well, I believe you. I know humbleness is very important. So like I absolutely do believe you when you say it's not that big of a deal. Like I would say the same thing about like with the stuff that I do. So I get you. But I like to do a little bit of an icebreaker before we kind of jump into things. So like basically I'm pretty sure that we got linked up through probably by Omega. Was it Omega that essentially kind of, or we just happened to meet? We just happened to be at the same place.
I'd probably say so.
Yeah.
I think it was the first time it was like at Omega Nights, like the events that they did.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
Okay, cool.
Then I've seen you around, some other places, but we won't mention that.
We mentioned that, yeah. For sure. The places that will not be mentioned, we know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's been really cool to chat with you and get to know you. It was like again, you never know who you will end up meeting, and I know again, it's very much like I'm just the dude, I'm just the person,
Just the VR chatter.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's important to remember that at all times. We are just people at the end of the day. Yeah. So yeah, I guess we can go ahead and jump into things. We'll start with kind of simple stuff to really kind of get the ball rolling. Okay, so the question I want to start off with is, if you were to introduce yourself to anyone. Just in general, it could be in VRChat, could be, well, I would say in VRChat if you introduced yourself to someone in VRChat. How would you introduce yourself, and what would you want people to know about you right out of the gate?
That's I mean, I guess just what like I'm mostly known for, which is Jinxxy. So yeah, just like founder of Jinxxy, and then more recently, I started doing like Radiant and stuff. So co-founder of Radiant. That's usually like how I would introduce myself. I don't know, for what people want to know, it's kind of I feel like I'm just like pretty normal. Like there's not really like anything too crazy. I just work a lot. I'm a workaholic. And then most of the time I'm on here, it's literally just to talk to friends and relax after like a stressful week. So I just try to be chill. I mean, that's that's why I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, that totally works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you know, a lot of people who are in the creative space, you kind of just want to do your thing and then relax and chill out, not really worry about much else. So yeah, I get that.
I think like a lot of the creatives just like usually like when they're in the zone, they're just like in the zone like grinding, and then it's like when you take a break, you really just want to relax. Like you put so much work in your passion, you're just like, yeah, now's the time to just chill out. So that's kind of what I do.
100%. I feel that. So so how did you come up with the name LynxJinx? Where did that come from?
I don't know. I was gonna get to VRChat, and a lot of cat girls, and I was like, all right, it's time to be a cat girl, but I want something like a little more creative. So I was like, hey, this rhymes, and yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't taken, so here I am.
Gotcha. So there's no like super
There's
special
no, like,
lore,
super deep
meaning.
No.
Okay.
No. It was one of those things. I was like moving away from my separating my like IRL identity and my usual usernames for what I used. So it was like, I'm gonna just make something completely random, has no ties to me, and I'm just gonna basically start fresh. And yeah, that's how I am. Where I am.
Why did VRChat start? Was the impetus for starting something fresh?
It's more so like I worked in like gaming spaces and stuff like that before, and this was like just before COVID and stuff like that. Or actually, no, it was during COVID, like the first set of lockdowns. And basically, I was still doing like my I was self-employed. I was working on gaming websites as well, mostly like stat websites for games and stuff like that. But like it was the same thing. Like I wanted basically to just have a place to chill out where like nobody really knows me, just to relax and have fun and whatever. And yeah, it's like I've been like ironically enough from what I did in the past, like I've been noticed in other games before, and I'm like, no, like new username, new identity, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were confident when you got into VRChat that this would be a place where you could reinvent yourself and just be someone that nobody knew?
I mean, that wasn't even the goal. It was just like, it wasn't even like a reinvent. It was just like somewhere to like just chill out and like, yeah, like just completely like separate and just like, yeah. I don't know, just have like a new identity to like not have to worry about anything.
Okay. Gotcha. And just out of curiosity, I'm pretty sure I know what you tend to go by in terms of your pronouns. What I like to ask just to be sure, just for anyone who may be confused, perhaps.
I mean, he, him, but like they, them, like her, whatever. Like it really doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
I know like it all just depends on like how I'm presenting myself in the moment, but yeah, he, him. Like I'm not gonna get offended if like I'm not talking and somebody calls me like her or something. It's completely fine.
All right, yeah, that works for me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What about your particular appearance? You know, a lot of people in VRChat ultimately come up with a look that resembles how they want to represent themselves in this space. So how did you land on this particular look? Is this something that you've built on over time, or is it something that already exists, an avatar that already exists, or is it something that you've adjusted or to your own tastes?
Yeah, it's been like a big adjustment. I originally had like a few modified like not public avatars but bot avatars and stuff like that. And I went by that for a while. Like I always use the color purple and blue and stuff like that because I just liked it. But then one of my friends, FX, made like an avatar that they really liked. That was like their personal one. And I was like, hey, can I can I borrow this? And they were kind enough to let me do that. And then eventually, like, we were both using it in like the same circles and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this modified a little bit. And yeah, I basically like commissioned like a custom head and like avatar and stuff like that. And I've kind of been using like similar looks the entire time.
So what is it about? You said you wanted to be a cat girl, and you said it was time to be a cat girl. I'm sure you mean that in tongue in cheek, of course. But like, what else would you be in VRChat? Obviously, but
exactly.
Yeah. So why Lynx? Why did you choose a Lynx?
I don't know. They're cute. It wasn't like as common. Everybody was like a house cat or like some other type of cat. I'm like, meh. Same, but different, you know? It's like, you know, in the same area, but also, like, you can tweak it enough to, like, you know, make it your own. So I was like, eh, sounds about right. It was also, like, I don't know, none of this was meant to be permanent, and none of it was meant to, like, whatever. It was just kind of, like, go and have fun. And then, you know how it is, like, you just start kind of finding your identity more, so.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, it stuck. It was fine. I like it.
Okay, yeah. I definitely understand the journey of finding your identity. Like if you look back to previous episodes, like way back when, I look very different. And obviously I didn't know exactly what I was doing like in the earlier episodes. So like, you know, as you change, as you evolve, things change, identity changes. So I get that.
Yeah, you don't stay the same. You evolve and you know, you'll find stuff eventually you don't like and you move on and build on it, and it's all a journey.
Yes, 100%. So, I actually want to jump right into the other stuff. I didn't want to spend too much time on like kind of the small stuff, just kind of you know, getting comfortable in the whole questions asking. Well, we're gonna get into some very like extensive conversations for sure. So, but we'll start with VRChat stuff, that sort of thing, and there's a lot to discuss. We both have a pretty extensive experience with VRChat, but I like to kind of start at the beginning of things before we kind of move into the present with my guests. So what is it about VRChat that I guess gave you confidence that this would be a place for you to hang out and chill and just, you know, be yourself?
I mean, it was more of just like an exploration that kind of stuck. It was during COVID lockdowns is like when I started. You know, when I joined, I think it was like a public black hat or something, and I got pretty lucky because I found like a good set of friends, like basically the first instance. So it was pretty cool. And it was kind of one of those things that's just like I was really bored during COVID lockdowns because I had been like traveling previously. Like I had just gotten off a cruise like the week before they were like everything shutting down. So I was like at home and I was kind of bored. So I was like, hey, I bought this HTC headset like really early on and I probably used it like twice. Let me plug it in and see what's up. So yeah, and then I got lucky. I found some friends and I was just like, I don't really think I had like oh, this is gonna be like the new place I hung out. It was just kind of natural. Like found a group of friends. They were like, hey, same time tomorrow, and I'm like, hey, why not? And then we did that for like 3 weeks straight. So that's how I started.
And you know, it's usually not common for, you know, the initial friend groups that we make when we first start. It's usually not common for us to stick with those friend groups. Are you still friends with them today?
Not really. Like we don't talk. But I actually, I think it was last week. I looked up, like the first. His name was Derek. I found him on my friends list, and I'm like, oh, offline like 2 years or 3 years, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh wow.
I guess he didn't stick around, but it happens.
Yeah.
It was a good friend group for a year or two.
Yeah, I mean that really is the classic. It's very interesting. I think the people that we met around the time during COVID, I think they were looking for something very specific during that time, and then I think maybe they found it or maybe they didn't find it, and then they just end up leaving for one reason or another, or just finding something else to do. Because I think a lot of people treat VRChat like it's a game. You can just kind of come and go. There's no real like attachments here, because they look at it like a game. Like, how do you perceive VRChat? Do you see it as a game or something else?
I mean, now I don't see it as a game. But I mean, I feel like we are definitely not the normal type of user.
Right.
Because, you know, or any type of creative making stuff. I early on I did see it as like you know, like more of a game, or just like for social, right? Just get on, hang out, nothing related to anything. And then obviously, like, you get more involved and you start making more things, and then it becomes kind of less of a game and more of like I don't know how to describe it, like an extension of yourself, but also like you're making stuff in it, so it's like it starts blending into, like, you know, your like IRL self and all these other things. So it's complicated now. Less of a game, probably. Earlier on it was, yeah, definitely more of a game.
Okay.
Like just to hang out.
When was the turning point for you when it started to not become a game for you, and like your connections start to actually matter?
That's more of like, I guess, like the early days of Jinxxy, or like when I found like my other friend groups and, you know, like started actually making tools for it, because I was like, all right, I'm spending like more time. It's, you know, I feel like it's kind of the typical pipeline, right? You find something like an avatar or something that you like, and then you know, then I started making Jinxxy because I was like, I want to find something specific, but I don't want to go through a million things. So then I end up making the tool, my friend group starts using that, and then it's like, then it starts crossing over into more like, now they're always asking you questions about it or trying to look it up, and then you have to maintain it, and it starts becoming more of like, you know, more attached to yourself. That's, you know, that was about like 4 or 5 years ago, something like that.
4 or 5 years ago was when you started VRChat.
Yeah, so I started Jinxxy was probably a year after that, I guess, or 6 months, a year, somewhere around there.
Gotcha. Seems like you kind of fast-tracked your way into like really wanting to explore having avatars and assets and all that. But we'll get into that a little bit later, like into the nitty-gritty of what happened with Jinxxy and all that. But it's very interesting to hear, like you immediately kind of caught on to everything and understood, like, oh, what was possible very, very early on. So that's really cool. Yeah. What is it about VRChat that keeps you here? Actually, I'll ask a different question. You said that VRChat is very much a it kind of crosses over into your real life. Do you see VRChat as a second life of sorts, or do you or has it blended in with your IRL life, and which was your initial goal to not have happen? It seems like, kind of separate the two. So what's it looking like now?
I mean, now, yeah, it's like primary. It's definitely like there's kind of no detaching my identity here with my like IRL one. Like, I mean, I met my roommate in VR or in VRChat, and you know, they call me Jinx in real life like all day. So I'm like, now it's just now it is what it is. So now it's just attached.
Okay. Is that, like, I guess, was that kind of a reluctant thing for you, or are you just kind of accepting of it?
No, it's fine. Like, I mean, you know, I grew up on the internet and stuff like that, so I've always had like online friends and stuff. So it's always been like kind of natural. So yeah, it's fine. I like it. It's not a reluctant thing. Gotcha.
Okay, nice. And So what is it about VRChat that kept you here? Was it just the initial positive experience of finding people who you could associate with, or was it something else, like over time that was like, oh, this is actually a thing that I should be engaging with?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to the positive experience of it, and like just finding cool people like early on to just talk to. And then obviously like that, that blends out of VRChat, and then you add each other on Discord, and we had a Discord group, and everybody, like we played other games and stuff like that, the nights we weren't on VRChat or like during the day, and it's those types of things. And you're just like, at that point, you're just normal friends. So.
So you would say, I usually ask this question with the caveat that it can't be because of the people that kept you here. I forgot to add that caveat. So, what is about VRChat specifically, like the platform, that kept you here?
I think it's a mix of the creativity and the ability to like kind of forge your own identity, like not doesn't have to be tied to anything, like you can be whatever you want type of thing. But I think that's it. Like it's just the, like, when you're creative and you have basically like freedom to create anything, I mean, that's kind of appealing. So
Yeah, I agree. There are many creative people on this platform, like to a very high degree. Like I'm convinced that like all the creative people who are like thinking progressively about the future, they're all on this platform. It's kind of interesting to think about.
A good amount, yeah. A good amount, yeah.
Yeah. When did you realize that there was potential in having a VR platform? To kind of build things off of and build things in, like to be creative in here, not just kind of socialize. When did that click?
I mean, it clicked pretty early. I mean, that's something I kind of did for like a long time. I liked building communities. I've built quite a few. Like I had a really big Minecraft community, and that's kind of like, from even before that, it's like I had a big World of Warcraft community as well, back ages ago, and it's always kind of been like that, where when you kind of do those things, you have the ability to just create and build. So when I saw like VRChat, it was basically like, yeah, like this basically has the formula, like, so it was pretty early.
I like that like it seems like we had a very similar like realization pretty quickly of like this is not just a platform to just kind of just socialize on. This can be something. We can build something here, and I figured it out pretty quickly too. It was really interesting to like, oh wow, I can do this and so much more. So like that's why I started this this podcast. So yeah, I get that. Hell yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, not to get too much into it, but back in like my Minecraft days, also, we had a podcast, and we would talk about like Minecraft and Minecraft mods and stuff like that, or Minecraft news and shit. So it's like, yeah, it kind of it makes sense. It's all these user-generated platforms. You can kind of make it your own.
Yeah, I mean, if you have enough ingenuity to kind of see the big picture, it's possible to do that. And thankfully, there are a lot of people on this platform who do that sort of thing. So, so when it comes to VRChat, what is something about the platform that you find to be really positive about the platform, and what do you find to have something that is, well, how would you identify something that needs improvement, or something that needs to be improved upon?
If we're going using the old like standard of not the people.
Yeah, not the people.
It's kind of difficult. I think VRChat did a lot of good earlier days, like in the early days, like setting the groundwork for showing people what's possible in social VR, fostering that type of community. Obviously that then gathers the people that like that and see that and can work with that. We have a lot of notes on things that could be improved. Not to make it super negative, but I mean, like, the reason Jinxxy exists is because it's like year 10 or 11 for VRChat, and just yesterday is like when they release something for avatars to help those types of creatives. I think there's a lot of creatives on the platform that are very much struggling. I mean, and just like a lot of neglected groups, and it seems like the solutions that are coming out now are more and more focused on not so much supporting them, but supporting the platform first and the creative second, which I don't think is the right way to do things for a user-generated platform, because without their creatives, they're nothing.
Okay. So what was the negative thing was, well, not the negative thing, but the thing that could be improved on. I don't want to be like harsh, but like the thing that can be improved would be its attention to the platform rather than the creators more.
Yeah, supporting your creators first and the platform second, I think would be like critique, right?
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's just way overdue.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean when you have a startup, I think it's obviously I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to kind of like reason like what could be the case. You know, when you have a startup, it's hard to 1, earn money, 2, get the infrastructure to run it all, 3, have the people to actually build the thing, and 4, for it to all work the way it's supposed to. And like whenever you have to deal with anything regarding money, it's pretty complicated. It's pretty difficult to do it right and to do it effectively and in a way that actually benefits not just the people that are on the platform, but also your benefactors, your stock, your the people who are like invested in the company, the people who are like your, what are they called, the investors, yeah,
your investors, your shareholders.
Yeah,
I mean that's fair, but at the same time, like the startup way of doing things is, it's definitely you're making a deal with the devil on that one, and there's a spectrum to it on how harsh you can be to your user base, right? Like the whole platform and shitification, we're starting to see it on like things like Discord and stuff like that, right? Where you're seeing these ads where they're changing their board to have the people that monetize games and things like that people aren't a fan of, but you have to monetize the platform because that's kind of the deal you made with your investors. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I definitely just think there's a fair way to do it, and there's a harsh way to do it.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. They VRChat did release or announce the Avatar Marketplace yesterday. I have watched the video. In preparation, just obviously for my own knowledge, but also in preparation for this interview. Yeah. What are your thoughts about it? How do you perceive it? Obviously, we haven't seen anything just yet. It's still very much in very early stages. But what is your initial gut feeling about it so far?
It's kind of what I've expected. Obviously, I'm biased on it. Having my own platform for avatar monetization and selling and stuff like that. On the Jinxxy side, I'm not worried about it. On a player side, I am worried about it. I think it's gonna fundamentally change just the platform going forward, and not for the best way. I think we're gonna see a lot of the free flow of creativity and the wild west of the internet and creatives that we saw for the last 10 years. I think we're going to start losing that, and it's going to become more of a sanitized platform, more of a cookie cutter Facebook, Instagram level of sanitation, I guess, and moderation and stuff like that. I think we're going to lose a lot of like the creativity just for the fact that it's essentially more like paid public avatars, which I think is going to like we're going to lose that part of the community that was just making public avatars for fun, and they're going to switch to like now it's going to be motivated by profit, and I think that's also going to come from like VRChat side of things. Obviously, they want to monetize the platform. They want to do these things. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that lock-in. We're going to start seeing more of that like walled garden. We're going to lose a lot of the creativity because these avatars can't be modified. People can't put their own little spin on it like we've all done for the longest time, which I think is I think it's a very big loss, because it's going to lose those people that were interested in making their own identity in the game to be deeper connected, to start that journey from, you know, getting on, finding a free avatar, into, you know, buying one and then learning how to customize it because you want this type of look. And then eventually maybe that person will, you know, become more knowledgeable in Unity and Blender and make a world, or they'll make an avatar or whatever. They're going to spend the money and they're not going to be able to do any of that. So you don't have that incentive because it's like, oh, I already have the files. Maybe I can just learn how to tweak this one little texture and re-upload it. Like, you're not going to have that. Now you're going to have another barrier of entry to have to find these files. I have to then buy them again. Or like they're even going to lose that. So I think as a player, we're going to lose a lot of future creatives, and I don't think it's great. I think it's kind of sad to see, but it is what it is. I think it's inevitable.
So, if I'm understanding you correctly, it seems that you're worried about the idea of the idea of finding obviously a free avatar. That's what most of us did when we first started, and basically the step of like wanting something better and new, and then going to like an online website to actually do that thing. You think we're gonna, like, people will just stick with the one that they paid for and then never go further than that? You think they won't like move on to wanting to buy one and modify it?
I think it creates an additional barrier, right? Because obviously if you have something that you paid for already and it's in front of you, right, you can just learn, hey, I want to change the color of my hair, or I want to change and put a logo on my jacket, or something's tiny, just you know, the little extra to make it yours, right? Or I want to change my eye texture. You're not going to be able to do that. So now, if you really want to do that, you're going to have to buy your avatar again, just so you can get access to the files. And that additional barrier, I think, is going to, like, a lot of people are going to lose that motivation of, I already have it, I might as well make it mine a little more. Because once you start doing that, then it becomes like more and more addictive, right? Like, you're trying to, like, oh, like, now I like this more. This is my like, it's mine. It's my identity. And I think that's not a great thing to lose. Like, it's especially in something like this where, you know, like we were talking, like it's a creative's playhouse, right? But I think we're gonna start losing that slowly.
So let me ask another kind of related question. So I do think that you have some validity to your thinking. I think there's definitely potentially people will get lazy and just kind of accept what they have. But what if the people who are making these avatars, the people who have been doing them for fun, now, you know, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to make an avatar for profit, because a lot of people make avatars for profit. That it's been happening for a long time already on Gumroad and your site. So making an avatar for profit isn't, I think, anything that's particularly lost or different. I think it's perfectly reasonable to provide an avatar on the platform for certain money value, because, you know, there can still be a creative drive to make something new. But what if the people who are making avatars, you know, making them available on Gumroad and Jinxxy, what if you could prove that you have the avatar already in VRChat, and let's say you did want to modify it? What would keep a creator from making it available for free, or just having them to be able to get that for free so they can get the files?
So that it just adds an additional barrier of entry now for that. The creator's going to have to verify that that person bought the avatar, right?
Right.
And then find a way to provide them those files, right? And there's nothing built in to do that yet. I mean, they could be planning it, obviously, it's the early days, but it's not something that's like easily available, or we haven't seen anything about it. And you're also not allowed to link out to other platforms or to your, you know, it's all not very clear. They, in the terms, like they say, oh, like if we offer it, you can't offer it, you can't disincentivize people from, like, okay, the VRChat one is X amount of money, you can't change the price on another platform if you're providing it. There's like 4 or 5 things of different terms and like creator economy rules and stuff. I have not looked into all of them, but from what I've seen, it's not clear and it's not really accessible. I mean, technically there's no way to do that if the creator individually wants to do that. It's just not a great system in my opinion, but like I said, I'm biased.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot that they can learn from. I mean, we're still very early stages. I think that we can kind of help to avoid that loss of creativity, and you know, I don't think it'll be like an additional barrier to entry. I think it'll just be a different direction. So instead of users having to hop around and find a free avatar and get used to world hopping to do that, it can just be like, here, you can have an avatar right here. And I would guess that people would still have free avatars available on the website, not website, in the game, in VRChat. So there's still that option. The free option still exists. I would imagine they wouldn't just remove that entirely. So
I don't think that's something that they would remove.
Right.
I think it's something that people are just going to naturally do, because there's no difference in making a free avatar versus, all right, I can just put it on the economy now and you have to pay for it. Like, I'm not saying they're going to remove that feature, they're going to remove uploading things. I think as a community, that's going to be the natural progression, because people spend time on it, they want to be compensated, which is fair enough, but it's also something that's been free-flowing because of, you know, creativity and love for the community for the longest time, and I think that's going to start eroding away at that.
Okay. How would you go about this, or what do you have any ideas for VRChat and how they can avoid this loss of creativity on the platform by doing this, essentially trying to keep the site alive? Like, you know, I'm sure they wouldn't use this method if they didn't have to. If they had the money flowing, I'm sure they would probably use a different method. But when you're a startup, we talked about this earlier, and you kind of have to pay for the site. You have to pay for things somehow. Like, we get 99 point actually less than that, I would say, like 99.90 uptime on VRChat in general. So like, how would you suggest that they go about covering this new venture and doing it in a way that doesn't hurt creativity?
It's kind of a difficult one. You know, I don't pretend to have like the solution for that. It's something that, you know, it's going to take a lot of time to think about and to, you know, execute well. But I mean, I think a lot of these problems are basically solved, right? If you look at other platforms, like, you know, things like Second Life, things like what people are using right now with, you know, like on Jinxxy. The solutions kind of exist. It's basically just about incorporating them into a more like friendly way for the casual person. I mean, you basically see like the solutions for this that are already available. You know, like VRChat has their OAuth integration with things like Ready Player Me, things with like Virality, things like that. It lets you upload the avatar to your account when you purchase it. And something like that for Jinxxy, or something like that in a Jinxxy-like solution for VRChat, I think is the proper way to do it, where people get access to the avatar. You're also supporting the artist in a less fee-heavy way because of the platform you're on. So it's the best of both worlds, right? And then, I mean, recently there was Scent made a really cool avatar uploading tool that basically, you know, people wouldn't have to mess with Unity. They didn't have to do all those, you know, they didn't have to install like the VRChat Creator Companion or any of that, and it like pretty much instantly worked. There was other solutions for that too, but obviously that competes with the VRChat platform, so, you know, they shut that down, that's fine, but there's also ways to do it where either one, they integrate it themselves, like the complete solution, or they work with the community and take a percentage of that. They can even get a higher percentage of that because you're not dealing with, you know, the Steam, Facebook, all those different types of fees, you know, the 30% cut that leaves creators with only 50. But I mean, obviously there's flaws with all of that, but that's, yeah, like I haven't focused on that. That's been my that you know, these are obviously problems that they have the full picture of, right?
Right.
And we don't. But you know.
Yeah. I mean, I see what you mean. It's a problem that I think people have they've solved kind of separately outside of VRChat.
Yeah.
And, you know, it would make sense for VRChat to look to these people for insight. And I think they are doing their best to connect with the community and reach out to people. I think they're trying. Obviously, you know, things can always be improved on, but I think they genuinely do care about the community, at least from what I can tell. So, like, how do you... Like, what do you think of the state of VRChat in general right now, compared to what it was when you started? Do you think it's changed for the better? I think you've mentioned kind of loosely that, you know, it's kind of gone in a different direction that isn't quite desirable. But I'm curious to your thinking on where you think VRChat is heading, and your thoughts on that as like a player, we'll say.
As a player, it's basically, I see it as basically trying to follow the Roblox format type of thing. And personally, I think it's terrible. You know, I've spoken out about this before, obviously, as a user and stuff like that. It's not desirable. It's definitely one of those things where you know, you're definitely going to see like paywalled games, paywalled instances, paywalled everything, because as you expand the platform, that's the monetization options on the platform. That's what people are going to gravitate to, because they're just going to want to make money off of their work, which is fair enough, but I think it incentivizes the wrong level of balance to that, which I think VRChat has. They've definitely had an imbalance for a very long time, and I think that's part of the problem, because people have gotten used to it, right? The community is very against anything monetization and stuff like that, because it's not something that has been instilled since the beginning, and it's also something that people, I don't think, have faith in it not ruining their experience, which I don't either. Because I've seen how like the past things have been executed, and I think, yeah, at the lower level, I think like the devs and community managers and things like that care, but I also know they're not the ones making the decisions. It's going to be your C-levels, it's going to be your board, it's going to be the people looking at the numbers, looking at the accounting, basically telling these people, okay, we're doing this is what's happening. And what are you going to tell your manager? No, like, that's not how those things work.
Yeah, I think that's very, very fair. I've worked for a startup before, so I'm very much aware of the bureaucracy involved in trying to get things
Yeah.
done. Like things move very, very slowly, and they usually move in a direction that's typically not really desirable to the people who legitimately believed in the platform. So I think it's kind of
Yeah.
that kind of situation with like the devs and people like Tupper and Strass, and like how they have to basically answer to the people above them for the things that they want to do, and these guys at the bottom, they're representing the community and they're trying to look out for them, but obviously companies got to make money. So
Yep.
yeah, I do think that we are entering into as the creator economy gradually gets going, I do think things will change. I think that largely how you and I interact with the platform, I think will largely stay the same. I think it'll be for the people who are not really on the creative side of things that things will change for drastically, and that will be something that I believe VRChat will have to really contend with. Just that the average user, feeling like, oh well.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
you have to think, right? We're not really the average user.
No.
And I would even say the people that buy on Jinxxy are not the average user. These are all power users. These are all these are all way away from like normal users. All these people that have customized avatars and stuff like that, they are already, forging their own identities. These are all also power users. Obviously, this is not targeting any of those, right? This is targeting the casual users they buy their $300 Quest headset, they log in casually to some public instance and see something that they like and maybe buy it, right? But what I'm worried about is the next generation, basically, of creatives having another barrier of entry to taking that next step. Because then you're basically going to have a decay of those types of creatives on the platform if they're not incentivized to create for it, to freely share resources like prefabs for worlds and stuff like that. Like we saw that at the beginning of the creator economy for worlds and stuff like that. Once money started getting involved, the free sharing of prefabs, the free sharing of certain things, stuff started getting gatekeep knowledge and whatnot. And that's just how it is, because people, now if this person's getting in, making money off of their work, I also want to make money off of my work, which is fair, but it's going to be a fundamental shift in the community.
Yeah, I do believe that the devs have spoken on that before, and I think they are aware. Like at least the people who speak on like the streams they do on Fridays, I'm pretty sure they're aware of like the fundamental shift that things are likely to go with when you introduce currency into the economy, into the platform. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where things go. I'm not quite sure how things will exactly evolve or transform. I think it'll be an interesting conversation to observe and to talk about later down the line, and to hopefully critique. I do hope that people who are power users like you and me will have the means to really kind of speak out and hopefully have some sense of what's going on, even though we're kind of in a different place than the average casual user. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a concern, but we'll see.
Yeah. That's for future discussions, I suppose. We can only speculate right now. So VRChat's optimization is something that's been talked about pretty recently. People have been bringing that up pretty recently, and Twitter. I mean, it's a topic that comes up every so often. It emerges when some craziness happens, which I was a victim. Well, I don't like to use the word victim. I was involved, and I had to deal with like VRChat crashing and not working properly pretty recently. And I know we still have the issues with avatars being shown, avatars crashing people and instances and things like that. So what is your personal investment in the optimization conversation, and how do you perceive that, and as a potential matter of contention or something that can be, worked on? I guess, what are your thoughts about optimization in general?
I mean, it kind of depends on, I guess, what hat I'm wearing. I don't think. Yes, it's a problem, but I think it's a community problem more than anything. I think it's, again, one of those things that probably should have been taken care of a long time ago, but is one of those things that kind of got neglected, and it kind of became a bigger problem than maybe it should have. If you're having these type of things, I think a lot of it comes down to like the platform itself, right? We're running on old versions of the game that cannot make full use of, like modern Unity, right? You don't have that type of technology. Because we're running like deprecated versions. There's also things that other platforms and games have that we don't have, like, level of detail and stuff like that fades as you move further away. Like, these are all, yes, they're all difficult problems, but they're problems. Like, they should have gotten taken care of. We obviously also, like, there's different levels to it, right? Because as a platform, your job is to make sure that the platform runs smoothly, that a user, however malicious, cannot break the experience for another user, right? That's your job as the platform. You host it, you make sure the experience is good, you're not making content, that's your job. And then on the creative side, there's ways to incentivize doing this better, doing things in the best type of practice, making sure that people aren't limited to the point where they have to find these weird workarounds that are not optimized to do what they want, because it's a platform for creatives. It's all user generated. Like, people should be able to do these types of things in the manner that doesn't affect other people. Like, there's ways you can do this with technology that help, basically. I feel like a lot of that hasn't been done. Obviously, these are big problems, but it problems nevertheless that maybe should have been solved before now. I think, as, like, for example, the recent video and stuff like that. As a community, users don't really care about optimization. They don't look at optimization. They are trying to express themselves in the way that they want with the products. And the reason that these creators, like, you can't just put everything on the creators, because the reasons that these creators have to do weird workarounds is because of the limitations imposed on them, and because the community wants it. They make it because people want it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's that, like, fair enough. And then some of the other things, like, that were talked about in that video literally are already in the works. They've been in works for months, like on Jinxxy. But at the same time, like, I'm just a dude that plays VRChat. It shouldn't be on me to, like, solve a fucking community issue. I'm not a community manager for VRChat. I run Jinxxy. Like, we're not involved with VRChat. And it's, you can have criticisms, you can, do what you want, fair enough, but, like, it's a bit silly. I mean, optimization-wise, obviously, as a user, you don't want to crash, you don't want to do these things. And then we also do have tools of hiding people's avatars and, doing these things that, depending on the level of hardware you run, depends on your level of experience, right? But, again, you limit creativity for experience. It's a trade-off. And however VRChat has dealt with it, is how they've dealt with it so far. And I don't think that can be put on any individual. It's a platform issue.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think people know that it's a platform issue. I don't think it's up to the users to solve problems that they don't even have real context in. They're on the outside. We're all on the outside. But how important do you think optimization is? Obviously, I know it's not very important to the average user, but do you think it's something that should be prioritized right now? Do you think it's a problem that should be focused on, or we should be, or not we, but the VRChat should be be potentially focusing on other things aside from, you know, making things easier. I think they've done a pretty good job with creating tools and settings to make it so that you can just get rid of people out of different instances and such. But obviously, you know, everyone's going to have their opinions on that. So do you think this is like a pertinent issue that should be focused on, or perhaps something else should be their priority?
Yeah, I don't think it ever should have stopped being a priority. I think I see there's people smarter than me in this type of thing that, you know, have had comments about it on how they've done benchmarks and the levels of like avatars, you know, good, poor, very poor. Like some of the components don't make sense, like the limitations, because modern hardware works different than, I guess, when these things were made, or, you know, this affects your frame time more than anything else, or, you know, they've done the benchmarks. I think it's definitely something that they need to work on more, because I've seen more information and more tools coming out of the community than I've seen from the platform itself.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of creative people who've made a lot of really cool things, like the OSC Fit, the treadmill thing. I think it's really cool. But I think the devs are aware that the community can come up with these things and move faster because they're allowed to focus more so than the devs can. Yeah. So it makes sense that things are going to come to light. How much do you think that VRChat should reach out to the community in terms of people who are creating things? Do you think it's something that they should do and work with creators to improve the platform so that they can integrate things that people have created separately and put them in the platform? Do you think that's something that VRChat should be doing more of?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, it's back from my from the earlier days, back when modding was really like popping off on VRChat, and, you know, right up until they did like EAC. I think that was like the way that they did it was basically like a massive fumble. I think they lost a lot of really creative people on the engineering side and on the modding side for a few bad apples, right? Like, I think they lost a lot of talent. I think a lot of those people have really bad blood now, and they're basically just gone from the community. And I say this because I've spoken to a lot of them, and they basically now are working on other platforms. Now they're, you know, working on other projects that in the hopes that it will replace VRChat one day. And these people do have the knowledge and the skill set to make it happen. And yeah, and they can move faster because, like you said, they can focus on one thing. And now you have a collaboration of a bunch of people working on one thing to make, you know, an alternative platform better. And I think VRChat really fumbled because that could have been stuff that they could have been improving on this platform. But yeah, I definitely think that them, like, not reaching out to people in the community that are solving these problems, I think is a massive fumble.
Okay. So I do want to jump into, you know, I think we talked a great deal about VRChat, and I think we can talk about your work with Jinxxy, and I think that we're going to come across some additional details about VRChat that we can kind of slip in there because it's kind of interconnected in that way. So yeah, let's talk about Jinxxy and how it all came about. So yeah, what was the motivation? Where did it all begin for you?
I mean, it comes back to those early days of you know, going down the identity pipeline, right? Trying to find something that I like that, you know, fits my style. And back then, like, the only way to do it was, hey, go to these individual pages, go to this Discord, join this Discord, join this one, look through all the channels, do all that stuff. And I'm like, this is, you know, it's kind of bad. Like, I'm not gonna spend 4 or 5 hours a day, like, trying to find something in the hopes that something new pops up and catches my eye. So I was like, I'm just gonna put this all in one place. And, like, that was I was already a web developer and stuff. Been doing, software engineering for a long time at that point. So I was like, I'm gonna program something to make it better. And I'm like, hey, I made this thing. I posted it in like my friend group Discord, and I'm like, hey, I made this thing. Like, if you guys want to look through it or whatever. Like, I was finding an avatar. And yeah, that's basically how like the first versions came along.
Did it start as a website, or was it something smaller?
It was web-based. I mean, just for the sake of having some way to easily look through it, because obviously it's all like images and stuff like that, and then you have links out to like the stores on where to buy them and stuff. So like a website was just easier than anything else, like a Discord bot or something like that. So yeah, it was a website from the start, and it kind of, people started using it, and I kind of just kept building it from there.
Okay. And what ultimately goes into, you said you have web development experience, you have software engineering experience, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what goes into even beginning to create something that is in direct competition with a website that at the time of you building this would have been around for nearly 10 years at that point?
Just doing it. Like, you could just do things. But I just did. Like, it's not really like a hard thing. It's just like, what is the need, right? What is your individual need? How do you, what's easier than what's out there right now that solves your problem? And that's basically what it was. It was just not, the website, the competition and stuff like that wasn't put together in a way that made sense for like our niche of looking for things. You always had the same types of things at the top of the page. There was basically no discoverability. Just things like that. And then you're like, this is a problem. How can I fix this? And then you come up with a solution and you implement it. You can just build things. So it's that's how it is. It's just slowly like find a problem, think of a solution, make the solution. And I've been doing that for 4 years, so that's where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the formula really doesn't change.
Okay. And did you take anything as, did you take any ideas from Gumroad to integrate into your conceptualization of Jinxxy, or was it purely something what you want to build, you have the vision, you know how it's going to be programmed, you know how search and discoverability is going to happen? Did that all kind of come out of your own mind and your own experiences, or was it a mix of like, what is the competition doing and what can we do better type of thing?
Oh yeah, it's always definitely a mix. I mean, but it comes down to the same fundamentals of, okay, like, this is the problem with this. This is what I want it to do. How can I improve on that, right? And it's not just looking at Gumroad. It's looking at like, how are people using Google? How do people use the filters? What are people typing into Google to find things? How are people browsing the pages? How are people, uploading things like that? What are people like familiar with, not only on like Gumroad and stuff like that, but what are they familiar with on like Amazon or like other shopping sites? There's a reason all these sites kind of look similar, and why people are like used to it, because they've done a lot of research into, hey, this is how people use the site, and this is how they feel comfortable with, and you don't want something that somebody has to learn how to use. It should all just come natural. And so you always build on other people's work and what they the solutions that they come up with, and that's basically how it just goes. You just iterate and try to make it better.
What was your first intent on, well, aside from building another marketplace that would help things to be found much easier, what was after you kind of achieved what you wanted to initially build, what was I guess your next level thinking? What are you trying to do anything else with the website? Are you trying to like reach any other particular goals with it, or are you just kind of sticking to like what it is? This is what it's doing, and this is what it's going to be.
I mean, nowadays we're trying to do a lot more. It's definitely something that is we want to expand the platform more than what it is already. So obviously early days it was, you know, try to find assets and avatars, right? And then eventually there was a lot going on during the time where, you know, people were getting banned. They were raising fees. You know, things were becoming just worse for a creator on the platform. So we were like, all right. We also had like issues with the site just being broken, like on Gumroad's side. So it was like, okay, now it's time to come up with a better solution for that, right? Like, this is a problem. How can we fix it? Put it in. Now it's definitely trying to grow it more. Besides that, now basically looking to create a entire creator economy for the alternative platforms that are coming out, besides VRChat, and for VTubing and just digital identity. Just something so people can take their identities and build them beyond just VRChat into VTubing, into other forms of expressions, onto other platforms like the ones that people can eventually build with like basis and stuff like that, and just creating something that people can easily use and plug into, so when they want to make something beyond VRChat or in VRChat, they have access to it. Like, it's not a whole massive endeavor, because we've been doing it for a long time. There's a lot of experience in it. There's a lot of infrastructure already built. It's like, now how can we help people take it beyond that?
Okay. What was your strategy with regards to getting people onto your platform? How did you go about doing that? How did that work?
Just make it better than the competition.
You built it and they came?
It's not build it and they come. It's not usually that easy. But it's definitely like, there was like a lot of people that I initially like messaged, right? Or somebody that made something cool, and I was like, hey, like, try this out. Give me your feedback on it. You know, what do you think? But eventually I you know, stopped doing that. Like, that was only for like a handful of people as well. But eventually, once people started seeing it, and once people were like, oh, why are you selling on here, blah blah blah, like, it was word of mouth, right? And it was also, it wasn't that hard of a sell, because Gumroad and other platforms and stuff like that, they show where your sales are coming from, and people saw us on their Gumroad page as giving them sales before they even knew what the site was. They're like, hey, what's going on? Like, I'm getting all this traffic and all this money from this thing called Jinxxy, like, what is it? And then they eventually come look, and we're like, hey, remember how Gumroad raised your fee like a month ago or whatever? Like, you can set your own fee on Jinxxy. Just come sell with us instead. And they just did. Like, it wasn't a hard sell. So it's just create a better experience. That's all.
So, you mentioned that you can create your own fees on Jinxxy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I guess I don't think this is very confusing to me personally, but I thought I would kind of bring it up just to kind of get clarity on it. Like, the ability of people to make their own fees kind of leads to people creating assets for, like, obviously it's to kind of discourage people from buying it. They'll set it for like $2,000 or some shit like that. I know it's to discourage people from buying it, but like, how do you, like, does that factor into, like, you know, the creators themselves? Are you're okay with them just kind of doing that sort of thing and just saying, oh, this is just a thing that's related to this? Just, they're basically just advertising it on the website, not really selling it. Like, how do you kind of I guess reconcile that?
That's not allowed on the platform, mostly because it just clutters. There's some things that we do kind of just let go, and it comes down to, that's a problem people are having. We can solve that, and a lot of that comes down to people wanting to make sure that you're, for example, in their Discord server. or wanting to make sure that, because the asset's free, right? They're like, hey, join our Discord server, here's a 100% off coupon or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's something. Or hey, buy Avatar XYZ, will give you this shirt for free or whatever, right? So this comes down to, okay, like that's something that is a pain point for someone. We can solve this problem. How do we solve that? Okay, we can add a thing to make sure they're in the Discord, and then they get access to it, and they no longer have to do that advertisement. Make sure that they have this product in their inventory, and then it unlocks the ability to just get it for free. And then again, we don't have that problem. So that's like one of the features that so right now I'm working on like massive site overhaul, but that's one of those features that is a problem that you can turn into a feature and a solution for someone. And then after the big site revamp, like that's something I'm going to work on.
Okay. What motivated you to want to, I guess, revamp the site? Why do you think it needs a revamp?
Oof, it's kind of dog shit right now. From a visual perspective, and then the code behind it, right? A lot of it is like 4-year-old code that is it's I guess the same when you're like making a show, right? You're trying to see what people react to, how people use it, and it's not a lot of the foundation basically isn't there. It's more of a trial, right? It's hey, let's see if this thing works. Like, don't put a lot of time into it, because if it doesn't work out, then that's just wasted time. Like, let's see how let's do it. Or people use it in a way that you never expected, and then you basically have like a little hacky code in there to make it work better. But eventually, the technical debt stacks up, and you have to build on top of that, right? Like, for example, one of the main reasons is because we need to add a card system, and we don't have a card system right now. Like right now, if you want to buy something on Jinxxy, you click it, and then you put your details in and buy it. Like that's it. There's no card. But the problem with that is then that ties into you can't gift it. You can't buy multiple things from one creator, like from different creators, stuff like that. It just becomes harder to use, right? And that's one of those things, like, just make it work. That's like one of the little hacky things, and see if people like respond to it. And they did, thankfully. But now it's like, okay, now we have to go back and make a cart and like do all these things. So we can do like things like, buying multiple things, or like upselling things like, oh, this person bought this, maybe they want this as well. It just, yeah. So it's about setting the foundation. Like a lot of that stuff is old, and now we know how people use the site and interact with it. Let's solidify all that so we can build other features on top of that and make it better.
Okay. And is Jinxxy an endeavor that you are doing solo, or do you have people behind you who are helping you?
So for a long time it was like a solo thing, but now I have a team of volunteers for like moderation and stuff like that, and then I have one contractor that's working on some unannounced projects, and then I'm looking at interviewing and hiring another contractor and developer for like general development to help me, because as the business grows, I've been having less and less time to develop, and more and more time dealing with annoying business things. So
at what point did you realize that Jinxxy was actually going to be something that would be kind of a long-term deal? Like, at what point did you realize, oh, this has legs?
I guess to the point where it started getting like more traffic than my other projects and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, like this is fulfilling a really big need. This was during COVID and stuff like that, so the numbers for just general VR community were going up. It had pretty good potential. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna just kind of just do this full time and keep working on it and see where it goes, and it went well.
So Jinxxy is your full-time job?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it is.
Did that happen like were you already working at somewhere before that happened, and did you quit that job to do this, or were you already? Oh wait, you were working solo anyway. Yeah. Got you.
So
Yeah.
I had other projects that I was working on, and those projects were kind of like mature, right? It was they weren't like in maintenance mode, right, where you're just like not adding features, you're just like maintaining the site. But they were basically like they were pretty like mature and basically there if I wanted them to be. So yeah, I just switched over to that. Those sites were still generating money. And I basically used that to bootstrap like Jinxxy and work on it full time, because I mean Jinxxy didn't make money for like 2 years at all. And during that time I was still working on it full time. I was just you know, living off of my other projects and, you know, putting my full attention on Jinxxy.
So 2 years of not making money and you still kept working on it.
Yeah.
How was that?
I mean, I'm used to it. That's my other projects did the same, like my other sites and stuff like that. It's something as like a solo developer. Like if you're used to working on projects, you kind of know that you probably aren't going to make money until it reaches some type of critical mass. So you know, you get used to it. You just hope your last project, you either saved enough money or it keeps generating enough for you to, you know, live and work on it. But it worked out.
yeah, it sure did. It sure did work out. So, so my next question is regarding, I guess, I'm curious as to why there are, like, I believe, I'm not sure if this is consistent across, like, all vendors, but I've noticed that there's, like, I've noticed people who sell avatars on Gumroad have said, if you go to Jinxxy, it costs like $1 or less or something like that. Why is that the case? Why is that something that happens? And why is that generally? How does that? Does Jinxxy have anything to do with that, or is that just a choice that the vendor makes to make it cost less over there?
Yeah, it's just a natural choice from the creator. Because we charge way less fees than Gumroad does,
Okay.
So they end up making more money if people buy it on Jinxxy. I think that's a big motivator. I know people also are trying to get off of like Gumroad and other platforms, so they're kind of trying to motivate their community to build like their inventories on Jinxxy, so that you know eventually they can move off of Gumroad and other things. So it's just natural. Like we don't incentivize that at all.
It's just a fees. It's just a fees thing, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So you mentioned VTubing earlier. How does Jinxxy play into what VTubing is and that community, and how does that coincide with the VR industry?
I mean, it's a lot of the, you know, the stuff that you make for VRChat and stuff like that can be used on like VTubing platforms like Warduo or VTubing programs. It's right now, obviously, the majority of our creators are VRChat creators, but there's also no reason that they also can't be Warduo creators, because everything that you use here can basically move over to Warduo very easily, and then you can start up a stream, record a video, things like that. And it's definitely something that we want to incentivize more in the future. Right now there's like a lot of things going on, but yeah, it's definitely like a scene that we want to get into, because that's another revenue stream for the creators basically already making stuff. It's just a different audience and a different way for them to earn more money.
I had a question on the tip of my tongue. It was okay. Yeah, can you explain Warudo to people who don't know what that is?
It's basically like just a 3D VTubing app. I think there's like VNAN and some other ones that are like both 3D and 2D, and like live 2D and things like that are 2D. But it's just to display your VTuber. And a lot of the things that you make for VRChat easily are converted, or like automatically converted. And like I've done streams with like my roommate Ava and stuff like that, and it's literally just this avatar. You just import it, like you import an avatar in VRChat. Like you don't even have to adjust the bones or anything. So it's just a way to display your VTuber without having to be in VRChat, and then you get access to like face tracking and expressions and things like that. So, you know, if you don't want to launch up VRChat because it's too heavy and play a game or whatever as you're streaming or recording a video, it's a good alternative.
Mm-hmm. And what are your? Actually, I didn't ask you about your thoughts about the what is it called? Selfie expressions. That's what the feature is called. What do you think about that? The VRChat's take on Warudo, essentially. Any thoughts?
It's not great. That's my thoughts on it. I think it's kind of bad.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. It's not great. It's pretty early, and yeah.
Yeah, I think it. You know, you can't do like face tracking in it, and you say, oh, but it's like you don't have a quest on. You can do face tracking with just the webcam in Warudo, for example. So it's very early. It's not great. It's I don't know, and it's also a paid feature, which yeah, I think it's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Like, what are your? This is another question I didn't ask you. I kind of. Actually, no. I'll save that for later on. That's not really relevant, I would say. Okay, so. What is a very like difficult challenge that you face with running a business and like being essentially a business owner? What are some things that you have to deal with on a regular basis, like on a regular day, with regards to Jinxxy?
There's a lot. There's always something. Managing time and meetings. There's a lot of people that want meetings for like everything, especially now with like we're trying to do events and things like that, and I'm like interviewing people, a lot of just general accounting, general legal stuff, talking to lawyers, talking to accountants, making sure you're compliant with tax codes, making sure your moderation is good, you have a good relationship with like payment providers. There's a lot. Dealing with chargebacks, dealing with what else is there? Just general like moderation drama, advertising. Like it's just running a full blown like business, which a lot of it is not fun. And then after I deal with all that annoying stuff, I need to find time to actually do the programming to make the features work and stuff like that. So you got to wear a lot of hats. You got to be on top of a lot of things, and it just takes a lot of time in general.
But it's fulfilling work though. It's work that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, I enjoy doing it. I definitely think there's a lot of things that I really don't enjoy doing, and it's basically trying to find a way to do that as less amount of possible, or support tickets and all that other stuff is like we don't automate all that. So like 99% of the time I'm literally answering your support ticket, and it's just a lot. It could be a lot, but yeah, it is fulfilling. It is good. It's great when you have like a message from somebody being like, oh, like thank you so much, like this really helped me out of a tough spot because I was able to sell things and make more than I ever did on another platform, or like I got banned from another platform and you basically saved my like business, or things like that, where you like people like the stuff that you do genuinely like helps people. Those like messages are always like super rewarding. So yeah, it's worth it.
What are the major differences between not you, but Jinxxy and Gumroad?
We're not trying to replace all our people with AI. One. We're definitely more of a I try to be like as ethical as possible. I try to be as transparent as possible. Um, it's just be like fair to people. It's like treating people like people and not like a number, or just banning people and like not caring. Like it's you know, I'm in here like 90% of the weekends, and then sometimes during the week, like people can come up to me and talk to me. They can like complain about something or like whatever, and I'll be like, hey, like this is why we can't do this yet, but I'm working on it. Like we have to do this, this, and this first, and then this will come. Like make a canny, so like canny thing, and I will get to it. Probably it's not gonna be for 2 months, but I hear you. Like I get it. I think that's like a lot of it. Like I'm accessible. Like people can email me. They can, you know, walk up to me in VRChat. Like I'm gonna be at Tantra after this, and like people can come up to me and ask me questions, or like, hey, why am I having this problem, or like, hey, can I do this? You know, you don't have to talk to an AI bot or fight with it to get an answer or get your product unbanned. You know, it's I'm in the community. I care.
Okay. I have heard, well, also I've observed, but mostly I've heard a few criticisms about the people that end up on the front page of Jinxxy, that they seem to be people who are people that you're already close to, but I don't know. I don't know how true that is. But I guess rather than kind of starting there, how do you determine what people, what vendors, what sellers end up on the front page? Let's just start there.
So the front page is so right now, obviously, we have a special promotional spot for Music Quest Fest, which is going on like right now.
Yeah.
And then that's like a special, and then under that, it's literally anybody that gives 10% or more. So it literally anyone, as long as they set their platform fee to 10%, which is the normal platform fee on like Gumroad, you get a spot on the front page. Then after that, I think it's just the new things that just got added to the site. So as long as your product gets added new, you can end up there. Then I think it's stats, and then I think it's the feed. I've been spending a lot of time on the beta site, so I don't remember the main site, like normal main site right now. But I think that's it. Yeah, you don't have to be my friend to end up on the front page. You will automatically end up on the front page if you make a new product, or if you give 10%. The special thing, the special banners, you just have to contact me and we'll work something out for that. It's usually that's not something like that is like
advertised.
Yeah, and it's not something that I want to, because it's also something that we've been experimenting with. And yeah, if you're, it's like when you try something new, right? And you want to try something and trial it with somebody that is established. You can message and be like, hey, what is your criticism of this? Or what is wrong with this? What isn't? Things like that. So yes, like people that are closer to me that I'm asking to trial something, yeah, they have ended up there. But it's like, unless I have a previous business relationship with you that I know, okay, these are your normal stats. I know I can ask you for criticism and you'll give me a fair, like reasonable responses. Like, yeah. In the future, like that top promotional spot, which I assume is what people are complaining about or whatever, it's not going to be really accessible unless it's some type of special event or promotional thing, kind of like think like Steam sale, like winter sale, things like that. Like it will be accessible to everyone, but it's probably going to be because it's a special event.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, because like I just wanted to, I've heard things, you know, people draw assumptions. I'd rather just hear it straight from you, because I think it's just more legitimate that way, honestly.
There's a lot of there's multiple ways to end up on the front page, and the front page isn't even like the end all be all. Like especially with the new site, we're improving discoverability a lot. But like you can make a post, like advertising a sale or like a new product or whatever, and you will be on the front page. You'll make a new product, you'll be on the front page. You give more than 10%, you'll be on the front page. Like there's a whole lot of ways. So I don't know why, unless like you have a specific thing. But yeah, I don't know why there's complaints about that.
Okay, well I'm gonna dig a little deeper.
You can circle back on it, yeah.
Yeah. So you said people who make who earn what was it, earn 10%, or like
if they set their platform fee to 10% or higher, they will be featured more prominently on the front page. Yeah.
Okay. So
anybody can do that from their store settings.
Okay, gotcha. So how does with people coming out with new stuff, I'd imagine every day, like how does that happen? How does what goes into, like, if there's, let's say, 50 people making something new in one day, how does one person who's making something new end up on the front page? How does that work on the back end, or how is that determined?
Basically, when they publish, it'll show. It'll show up on the site. Like, there's really no special like thing to it. So yeah, like if you're just spamming it or something, like we're probably gonna remove it and ban you. But or not ban you, but like, you know, take away your ability to do that. But I mean, it's been pretty fine. Like, there hasn't really been a need to moderate it. There hasn't been a need for anything like that. Like, you have to realize, like, a lot of these creatives or the creators, like, it's their business. Like, they take it seriously. They're not going to do that type of stuff, like play those types of games. They're not, like, we treat them with respect and they treat the platform with respect, which is nice. But yeah, when they go in, they publish it and it just checks. Okay, is your thing set to 10%? Okay, it is. Boom, you get put on there. Or like, we have stuff for new things. So when it's new, it just checks. Okay, what are the last 10 products? Like when somebody loads the page, what are the last 10 products I got published? Boom, it puts them on there. And then same goes for, we even show like avatars that are off platform on other platforms. Same thing. Like, we see the last 10 ones we checked, they get put on the front page. I don't know if it's 10, it's whatever number the spots are, but, you know.
Okay.
That's the same logic.
Gotcha. Okay. And I've noticed that there are some pages on Jinxxy, some people who sell things on Jinxxy have it linked to a completely different page. Is that by design for them to be able to do that, or is that something that shouldn't be happening?
No, that's by design. Like, it aggregates everything. Like, the point is to find everything that the community is making in one spot, and some of that stuff is not on our platform, and you know, we allow that. And we also check their stores regularly, so we make sure that we have like the latest stuff. Obviously, we love for people to just sell on Jinxxy. It causes a lot less problems. Your stuff will appear faster. You'll usually get a better cut, stuff like that. But you know, some people choose not to, and that's fine. We still have it on the platform.
Do you think that having people to be redirected to a new site discourages people from the sale? Having that happen? Like, having to just have another click involved?
I think a lot of it is, like, recently, a lot of people have started, like, building their inventory on Jinxxy, and they don't like having to, like, go to multiple sites to, like, find, like, oh, when did I buy this asset? When did I buy this hair? When did I buy this, like, set of ears? Whereas we have it all in, like, one spot. So I've definitely seen a lot more people just, like, I think the conversion rate is, like, much better when they click through. But I mean, I think a lot of that is up to the individual, what they're seeing with their customer base. I think as a whole, obviously they're on Jinxxy, so I think they feel more comfortable just buying it and having it in their Jinxxy inventory. But you know, that's for the creators to figure out how their customer base likes to shop.
What are some major changes that are coming to Jinxxy.com with the new revamp?
So you can preview it right now on beta.jinxxy.com. But like the entire interface is basically revamped. A few months ago we did like a revamp for our creator dashboard. So this shares a lot of the same like styling. So the style is more consistent. Basically all the code is redone, kind of like that foundation conversation we were having where it's not as hacky. a lot more of a solid foundation to build on, so we can add new features. There is a global shopping cart now, so you can like browse things and then, you know, click them. I literally just finished the wish list feature yesterday and the adding to list feature. So the list feature is like a revamp of the old one, and then the wish list feature is completely new. I think I just finished like liking this week as well, but basically just redoing everything in a much better like foundation to build new features on, because things are getting more and more like complicated, because we're adding things like, you know, you have like we already have collabs in, we already have like some more advanced features with how you buy things, and this is just like building up to it so that we can eventually add things like gifting, things like what's another popular one, like the item requirements, like you need to have this avatar so you can buy this asset type of thing. Just things like that. Like it's just more of a solid foundation of, now we understand how people are using it, we can hone in on those features and make sure that they work really good.
Is the UI changing at all?
Yeah, it's been revamped. It's much better, thankfully. I hate looking at the old site now.
I noticed it was like a little like just as like a little thing that I've noticed while being on the website. Like when you try to like I think when you flag things or favorite things, it's hard to note. It's hard to realize when you've actually like the visual like I guess confirmation is not
feedback.
very, it's not very clear.
Yeah, I've added a whole bunch of that. Like you'll now see, like when you click on something, it'll start a loading state, and then you'll see, okay, it's confirmed that you saved this, and it'll instantly show up.
Yeah, like it'll turn into a check mark or something like that.
Yeah. It does that now. So it's I agree with you. There's a lot of that. Like, trust me, I hate the site now.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean there's a lot to look forward to. It sounds like. So
yeah.
I'll be. What's up?
Another big thing is we're adding sorry, not to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Profile customization. So people can customize the first page of how their store looks. Like you can add text, you can add featured products, you can add, like, we're revamping the whole profile to make it more like a store, so people can customize, while keeping some of the Jinxxy like styling, because a lot of it when you're on a platform is nice because it's consistent, because people like understand all the buttons, they understand like what everything is, they don't have to think about like, you know, different things or look at different colors and be like, what's the add button, what's the buy button, things like that. But then the trade-off is you don't get to customize it. So we're kind of trying to best of both worlds approach, where your first page is customized and you can like list like, oh, this is like this group of products, you should check it out, or this is my newest product with like a little bio thing or story or whatever. And then like the product pages are the standard. So I'm trying a little trade-off. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, nice. Yeah, it should be good to see. I'm looking forward to it, for real.
Yeah.
So let's jump into Jinxxy Events. We'll kind of talk about that. I'm sure there's a little bit we can discuss there, and that's, you know, related to the site. So what went into coming up with that idea? I know you said you wanted to expand. You wanted to not just simply be a marketplace, but you wanted to do much more with the website in general, to kind of build on what you've already got. So why Jinxxy Events?
I think it's definitely just like a desire for like me and my friends to be more involved in the community. I think that really helps keeping us like grounded in like what people need and what they want, and like how people interact with the stuff that they're buying, right? Like what better way to do that than to be on the ground level with talking with these people, talking with the people that are, you know, making all this stuff. So I think it's just a way to like kind of showcase and expand on maybe things that don't really get that much attention, and trying to promote people that are like making really cool things. Like So Momo and Tatsi were our primary partners for this one, and they're basically making a 3-day music festival in VRChat, which is going on right now.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see because they put a lot of like work and stuff into it, and sometimes those things like don't get promoted, right? So we're basically using, you know, our platform and the site to showcase them, but also like learn things and partner with them, and eventually maybe, you know, we've had like corporate sponsors like interested in it because they know us from the platform, like people that we've talked to. So it's just a good opportunity all around to like support that type of community.
So what is Jinxxy's involvement? Well, obviously it's called Jinxxy Events, but what is the direct involvement with what's going on with Mystic Quest Fest, which is well, not new, but the first of, you know, potentially many future Jinxxy events. Like what is the site's direct involvement with that? Your direct involvement with that, perhaps, and how's it all kind of playing together?
So it's basically we're just kind of support. We're supporting the so Momo and Tatsi are basically like the main organizers, right? They made the world. They did all this thing. We're helping them with some organization. We're helping them with the avatars creators, because we collabed with our creators to have special avatars for this event that people can go in and buy and use for the event. And it's just providing that level of support. We made them, you know, we're promoting it obviously, and we're just working with them to make sure like it kind of meets our standards and our quality. Obviously this is the first one, so it was a lot of learning. So that was our level of involvement for this one. For future events, we don't know like what it's going to be yet, but it right now it's just like a really cool learning experience.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely wanted to like hear more about that, and just like how that all kind of came to be. Like, so I know you want to be more involved in the community and kind of more public facing. How did this whole idea begin, and like how did you kind of get people like Momo and I what was the other person's name?
Tatsi. TOTC. Tatsi.
Oh, Tatsi. Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get them to want to work with you on this and like create Mystic Quest Fest?
I can't take credit for this one. This was definitely I've been working with my friend Omega, and they basically put us in contact, and they've been doing a lot of the groundwork and stuff like that. But I mean, they're a good group of people that is basically, they've been working on this type of stuff, and they usually don't get like visibility. And you know, Omega saw that, came to me. I was like, yeah, this will be a really good first run. We'll learn a lot from this, and hopefully we can promote more people like that in the future. So yeah, like that's how I came, like Omega found them. So I can't really take credit for that one. But yeah, it's just finding like cool people. And then now we have like a forum on events.jinxxy.com where if you're like an event organizer, you can reach out to us and we can, you know, take a look at what you're doing. Or even if you're like an individual DJ or an individual artist or doing something cool, like anything you're doing cool, like just let us know. And then like that in the future, we can do more cool things. That's kind of all we're trying to do. We're just trying to highlight people that are doing cool things.
So the idea of Jinxxy Events is not just to hold events, but to essentially be a billboard for people who may not be getting very much exposure in the community?
Yeah. I mean, that's the plan right now. Obviously, it might change. I think we're definitely going to try to maybe organize things a little more, depending on who's interested, right? Like who's signing up, who's like doing things. I would love to have like more like stuff that hasn't been done before. Obviously, like you can't know what hasn't been done before unless you like think about it or you see an opportunity. But yeah, it's a billboard basically to highlight these types of things. What level of organization that we do in the future, I don't know yet. We might, you know, be the main organizer showcasing like a bunch of smaller, you know, not events, but smaller creators doing like their own thing in one shared space, or it might be something like this again, like a big event that somebody's organizing but maybe doesn't have the community themselves or the traction that we can showcase, because as long as, you know, we believe in what they're doing and things like that, it's, you know, it's a nice boost to like showcase something that maybe a lot of people wouldn't have seen before.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about how what went into like promoting avatars? Because I believe in the world that was made by Momo, you can utilize avatars that have been provided by avatar creators. What went into that, and how did that kind of all come together into, I guess, essentially creating what amounts to ultimately free promotion for these avatar creators?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of our that was like our partnership agreement. Like, they take care of the, you know, the event. We help with some of the organization. We help with coordinating those things. But we wanted like an area to showcase our creators, right? And it's also something that maybe opens up. It was basically a trial run, right, to see if maybe this will work in the future, right? If this is like a nice way for people to promote their things. If they gain any traction, right? Like, it's all just starting right now. But it's all just like a trial run to see, like, maybe this works, maybe it doesn't, maybe we try something else. You know, we'll see. But yeah, that was our you know, we just wanted a space to show off like the creators that are on Jinxxy. Yeah.
Were there specific people that you reached out to, or was this open to pretty much anybody?
So it was a mix of, it was a little short notice. So I reached out to people that I knew could put something together, short notice, because I mean they had like 2 weeks to do it, like not that, like 3 weeks maybe. And I know like how much work an avatar takes, so I was like, hey, we're trying this kind of short notice. You think you can do it? And then we also like tweeted out an application, and we're like, hey, we're trying something. If you want to, you know, apply. So I think we got like 1 or 2 off the application. But yeah, I mean, it's in the future, it's going to be open to anyone. Like, we're definitely going to have more time for the next one, but this one is like, it's people we've worked with before. So.
Yeah, I like when you're just getting stuff off the ground, you usually go to people that you know. Like, I think that's pretty standard for business.
Then we have to, then we also have to be like, okay, what were your challenges on this one? Like, what made this hard to work with? What, like, we have to iterate on it. So we have to go to people that we know, like, know what they're doing, aren't going to struggle with like the basic stuff, can do it in the very limited time constraint, and then basically we'll be open to doing like a post-event interview, right? And, you know, showing us what went wrong, what didn't.
Mm-hmm. So there was another name that I've seen kind of floating through the whole Jinxxy Events thing called, the name is Tantra. Like, what is that? Who is that? And what is, and I guess, can you explain that? I'm not clear on who or what that is.
Yeah, so that's like Momo and Tatsu's like basically group that they're trying to do these events with. That's basically all it comes down to. I think it's more out in the open because I made it the URL because when I was testing stuff, and it kind of just stuck because people started linking it, so I was like, I can't change it now. But yeah, it's their group that will hopefully be organizing more events with us in the future.
Okay, so it's like a collaborative effort, just under a different specific name.
Yeah, I mean, that's their organization group, and then like this is one of the festivals, right? It's Mystic Quest Fest, the festival, and then Tantra's like the group that between them is organizing it.
Gotcha. And The name Mystic Quest Fest. Was there any? Who came up with that, and what went into that?
I didn't.
That wasn't
That was
you.
all them.
That was
Yeah, that was all them. Yeah.
that was Tantra.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. All right.
I was like, hey,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, that works. Okay. Very nice. So, the event has been going on since we'll say 11 a.m. your time, 2 p.m. my time ish. I would say it's been going for quite a while.
It's been going on for a bit.
About 7 or so hours.
Yep.
How are things going? How are things looking? How's it going?
I mean, I've been in here with you. Hold on, let's see. Last I looked, it was full with like a 20-person queue.
I did see that. Yeah, it had 80 and a queue in a different instance, like 2 instances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is still full. Let's see. Yeah, no, it's been going pretty good from what I see.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully we keep it up because it's only Thursday as well. So I expect Friday and Saturday night to be pretty poppin'. Hopefully.
Alright.
There's a lot of cool like different DJs and stuff like that pretty exciting to check out.
So was the DJ booking? Did Jinxxy.com have anything to do with the booking of DJs, or was that still just them?
No, that was them. We're basically support staff.
Gotcha. Okay.
And like promoters. They did an incredible job like finding over like 40 DJs and coordinating all that and stuff like that. And then we got their information. We put them all on the site so people can see and find them. And then there's also like a bunch of different like clubs and stuff like that. You can see it on the site. They also have like tents and flags and stuff in the world. So like each club basically has like a set time, and their DJs are playing. So you're gonna get like a bunch of different tastes over the next 3 days. So it's really cool.
Hell yeah. Okay. All right, so to kind of continue our conversation, seems like Jinxxy Events is something that's very new, very fresh. You guys are going for it and gonna learn from this and see where that goes. That's very, very interesting to hear about. But there's also another thing that you are involved with, or that you know about to a fair degree, a little thing called Basis. You mentioned it in passing earlier.
Yeah.
I've popped into one of these events myself once. I didn't quite know. I knew what was going on, but I was very much kind of like a stranger in a strange land type situation. So can you tell us a little bit about Basis and like what is your, I guess, involvement with that?
Yeah. So Basis is like it's a framework for basically multiplayer VR. Right, and anything that entails. So it's not a platform. It's not a direct competitor to VR. The Dooley would kill me if I said it's a platform. Which is he's the lead developer. But it basically, so as a framework, what it aims to do is take care of all the annoying parts about building a game or an experience in VR. Right. So we're talking things networking, avatar IK. Voice rather. All these things that basically every experience for multiplayer VR would need without taking care of the content, right? It's also all open source, and you can basically do whatever you want with it because it's MIT licensed. That means you can make a whole game on it, right? You can convert your club world from VRChat into its own standalone Steam game and do whatever you want with it, type of thing. So it's something that's very exciting to see because it's basically everything we've talked about like before, with like the complete freedom of creation in like a more digestible way of dealing with it.
And what is are you just kind of observing, or do you have some play in that?
Like I'm sponsoring the project. I'm also doing a little bit of like consulting on some, some aspects, things like, creator economy and avatars and stuff like that. And then Jinxxy, we want to be more involved with just people building on it as well. Like I said, like the goal in the future is to kind of make Jinxxy the creator economy plugin for all these different experiences and stuff like that. So obviously, this is, you're not on a platform, right, with something like Basis, right? You have to kind of build your own platform, which means, running servers or, having the downloads, or depending on how you're doing it, right? So we're basically trying to figure out how we can support people that are going to start building on it, because unlike VRChat, you're not tied into one platform. You're not tied into the limitations of like Udon or something, right? You have full access to the entire Unity client. You have full access to basically everything. So with that freedom also comes a lot of engineering, but a lot of, you're gonna have to learn how to, host avatars or take some type of monetization if you're doing it, things like that. And I'm trying to make it as easy as possible with like the knowledge we've gained. So that's like our involvement.
Yeah, you've and like you've mentioned that you've spoken to a lot of developers who have been, who no longer work for VRChat. Are they at all involved in Basis, and what kind of conversations have you had with these developers?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them, yeah. I mean, there's former employees. There's also former like mod creators. There's just like software engineers in general from the community. Like all these people basically have either like reached the point where they created for VRChat and gotten annoyed because of some type of limitation, or something, breaking, or the team itself. Like there's a lot of and not that there's plenty of people that love VRChat as well.
Of course, yeah.
It evolved, but it's mostly people that kind of see the limitations of VRChat as a platform, and they want to break out of it. Essentially, they want something better, right? They see, they see cool things like having 200 people in a world with real-time lighting and not lagging, or having the ability to, make things that work in the latest version of Unity because it's the latest version and the hardware works properly compared to like the deprecated version that VRChat's running on. Things like that. They see the limitations and it holds them back from what they want to do creatively, so they're really excited about what they see.
Well, I know you don't know all there is to know about Basis. You're kind of just like assisting, observing, and learning as you go. I'm aware. But what is it about Basis that has you excited, and why kind of get involved with it?
It's basically like it brings back the old school like Wild West of the internet, where there wasn't like a nice sanitary platform. It wasn't like the Facebook, right? It was more like, the MySpace, where you can customize your profile and do all these things. But it's like not even that. It's like going back to when people didn't even have that. It was like you had to learn HTML, you had to build your own profiles, you had to do like all this stuff, and it was just cool to learn. It was cool to see people just making like weird and wacky things because they could, because they weren't limited. It's things like that. It's the want to have VRChat game devs not have like weird syncing issues or weird limitations or something like that they want to do but they can't do it because something's broken or something just doesn't work like that, or there's like a limitation because of the networking, or there's a lot of like different things that you could do because you have access to the whole thing. So it's very cool. That's my excitement. There's also obviously for Jinxxy, it's massive because VRChat took a lot of money from investors. They took a lot of money to make the creator economy work and all these things, and we can basically have it work from day one if somebody wants to build something in Basis, which is a massive advantage to anybody building on Basis.
So there's a benefit. There's a benefit to your business, and there's a benefit to just having something that's kind of open, free, and just easily editable, accessible.
Yeah.
It sounds very complicated though, like in terms of like being involved. I mean, I guess if you know Unity, if you're familiar with Unity, then maybe it's not that complicated. But it seems like it's. I mean, obviously it's still very, very early, but like. How do you foresee Basis kind of evolving, like where you see it going and the things that it has going on? How do you see it kind of, I guess, competing with VRChat and even with other platforms like Resonate? Because Resonate has a lot of has a fair bit of, I want to say, customizable options. Persistence is already built in. And entirely on their entire platform. So how does Basis kind of, I guess, bring things back to like the average user who doesn't know anything about coding? Or I guess, like, is this meant to like encourage people to learn how to code? So you're gonna like, would it be like something that's specifically for people who are interested in like learning how to code, or would it be something more than that?
It's definitely it's for developers, but it's also meant for people that develop worlds, for example, to eventually like get into. Right now, it's very early and it's in development, but it will get to I'm assuming, but it's also from what I've heard as well. It will get to the point where if you're comfortable making like a VRChat world, you can probably make a Basis like experience, right? A game or whatnot, or club. Like for example, Castle already trialed, I think, like 2 or 3 times having club events in Basis, and they worked great. Like he has a game client on Steam. And it's stuff like that. Like, if you're comfortable enough to make a VRChat world, you'll probably be fine making something in Basis. I think also it opens up the ability for somebody to make easier tools, right? To make it more accessible to like end users, right? To make like a platform like VRChat. While Basis as a framework, right, isn't a competitor to VRChat and it's not trying to be a platform, you can make a platform off of Basis, or someone can, and make that experience even easier for the end user. So that's also exciting. And then obviously the limitations that they put on that depend on whoever's making the platform.
Okay, so it seems to me that like I'm trying to wrap my head around this, and I know you're not the developer. I know you're not a developer for Basis. So like, hopefully I can talk to what's
Dooley?
Dooley, yes.
Yeah,
Dooley.
You definitely should.
Yeah, I'd really like to actually. So hopefully we can set that up. But with regards to like it just being just a means by which people can create things, like you said that Castle built a game client basically off of Basis.
He did his like the VRU Underground and stuff like that.
Right.
Like his club in VRChat, he basically converted into a standalone Steam game that you can run and go in and have the same experience that you have in his VRChat world, just in his own client on Steam. And then obviously he can do whatever he wants with that because he has access to the whole engine.
Oh, okay.
So it's basically just limited by his knowledge.
Right. Okay.
On what he can do with that. Yeah.
So is the idea that people are making their own separate things, just they're using the Basis framework?
The idea is to kind of create a better experience for people that are making like VR games and worlds and stuff like that, because it's aiming to have something that deals with all the annoying bits, like the networking and IK and stuff like that. But what that also comes down to is, for example, if you've ever gone and played either another platform or another VR game, you'll know how different the IK is, right? You can't have your avatar in there. And some of those like that like avatar dysphoria and like IK like tracking issues, I know kills like other experiences for people. But if all those experiences and games and stuff are using the same code, like the same formula, the same whatever, your experience will be the same from game to game. Obviously, unless they change it, but from game to game and game, that's made on basis, which will be really cool. And you can also just take your avatar as well. So there's like a lot of cool things on like what can be done with it because it's such an open framework.
Okay. So I did want to bring up like there's a little bit of correlation between what's going on with Basis and the quote future of Jinxxy beyond VRChat. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like how does Basis play into how Jinxxy is going to, I know you I think you mentioned this a little bit about how it's going to be like a platform to kind of link the two together in that way. But like what is, in your words, how do they work together, and what's the vision for that?
I mean, at least my vision for it is just to, obviously these, games or platforms or whatever anybody decides to make on Basis, they're going to need some type of monetization. They're going to need some type of avatar shop. They're going to need ways to upload avatars. They're going to need ways to like do all these things because essentially they're all going to be VR experiences and everybody needs an avatar in VR. So, I mean, that's where we come in, just hopefully having, an easy plug and play solution for that to either monetize it or get your avatar in or host your avatars, things like that. However, obviously this is still very early, but like however we can help, we want to, because it's more open, not tied to VRChat, and it creates a lot of opportunity for anybody creating like VRChat avatars now that have, again, yet another place that they can sell their stuff, where the skills are very, intertwined.
Okay. Alright, yeah, it sounds very, very interesting. Like I only heard about Basis very recently, so it is a very interesting idea. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of time for that in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, this.
I mean, I think the easiest way to think about it is like, if you go back to like, actually, this is gonna fucking make me sound old. But like if you go back to like the early days of like AOL Online or something like that, if you've known anybody or anybody's experienced it, it was like basically to get on the internet, you used to run this client, and a lot of people thought that was the internet. And it reminds me a lot of what VRChat is today, right? People get on VR and they're like, oh, it's only VRChat. Whereas this is going to be, I feel like, more of the expansion of this is what you can actually do in VR. Like once you type in like the address to another website, right? Or the address to something else, and it's a bunch of mini games or a bunch of whatever, YouTube, things like that. Like getting you out of the bubble will allow not only just individuals but like companies as well to make their own experiences where they can actually start doing things without having to build the whole VR platform, like not having to deal with all the issues that are shared among all of them. So I think it's going to be really cool.
Okay, I think I'm understanding it now. I think I get it. It's basically you're not going on a platform to have a VR experience. You are basically accessing VR experiences just by, utilizing whatever, I guess, searching function that's available instead of like using like.
Well, that's more. Yeah, kind of. It's if you want to get into like the kind of.
Okay.
If you want to get into the nitty gritty, it's more like it's the software that those websites would run on.
Okay.
But by making that software, you enable these websites to exist, right?
So is it like
so-
WordPress, for example, like something like that?
Yeah, it's like a framework. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's like WordPress, but for VR.
Okay.
So it'll deal with all that, avatars and networking and voice and all like interface and all these things that everything needs, but there's not one solid way of doing it right now.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that sounds really interesting. Like, then I've kind of correlated the ideas behind them, and it sounds very, very cool. Very interesting. Very ambitious, yeah. I will say.
Yeah, it's very ambitious.
Yeah. Well, so I do want to kind of ask about, I'm kind of like, not a little backwards, but kind of going back to like just VR in general. What would you like to see the VR, where would you like, oh my god. Let me talk. Where would you like to see the VR platform go as a whole? Like, what are your thoughts and dreams about VR, and where would you like to see it go in the future, if anywhere?
I think it just needs to be like more comfortable and more accessible. Like on the hardware side. I think on the software side, I think we need ways to not be tied to one platform, not have one company control like the majority of the space. I think that will make the competition, will make just the technology grow on the software side and the hardware side. Like, so hardware, tracking, the headset's more comfortable, better, obviously. And the software side, we need like a true like VR browser that isn't tied to one platform, so you can just hop from place to place and not be stuck, not have to deal with one company. I think that'll expand the ecosystem and the economy, right? If companies can make their stuff work, like, everything from looking at your kitchen layout in VR or something, right? For home builders, right? And not having to pay one company to host it on their platform. People actually being able to sell things. Like, I'm talking like boomer companies or like AAA companies or whatever. But like, once they start seeing the actual value, kind of like they did with the early internet, that they figured out, oh shit, I can sell stuff on here, that will get them interested, which will get like more mainstream people interested. And with that, the technology will get better. It'll turn from those massive rooms that housed one computer to the laptops and stuff we have now, which I think is needed. But I don't think we can do that when one company controls the biggest platform, and that's all people experience.
And are you saying that one platform is VRChat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, for like a platform-wise, yeah, obviously. And then there's like, there's the games like Gorilla Tag and stuff like that. But I think that's not as a big as an impact as VRChat, where it is a space where you can socialize, you can create, you can do all these like different like more of an open environment, right? Games are games, like that's fine. But like platforms like this, if you're not doing, if it's locked into, the majority of your creatives are locked into one place, I don't think that's healthy. I think there needs to be competition for it to move forward as a whole.
And you believe that the Basis is going to maybe be the platform that opens things up and kind of gets the ball rolling with like the I guess the worldwide VR, worldwide VR, I guess, kind of idea.
I think Basis will definitely be the framework and foundation that it starts getting built on. I don't know if it's going to be like the majority in the future, but I think it's definitely in the right direction on like where we need to head. It's definitely I think it's just a step in the right direction for that type of thing.
Okay. And when it comes to like, I guess, the future of VR. So you envision it to be more open, like how we interface with the internet these days. You imagine it to be just an open place where we can kind of go from place to place, where it's not just simply a platform where we use portals to get around. We will basically be able to traverse VR experiences through multiple experiences that people have made across what would be, I guess, the framework that all these websites or VR experiences will be coded off of, and we just be able to interact with them through, let's say, a VR browser, and we'll be able to just kind of go to these different experiences freely, in the whatever avatar that we choose. So are you envisioning something? It sounds a little bit like Ready Player One, a little bit.
I mean, I don't like saying that because it's too sci-fi. It's not relatable to people. I think a better explanation would be the VR right now is the internet equivalent of Facebook, right? We're all on Facebook right now in VRChat.
Right.
And yeah, your company can have a Facebook page and all this, right? There's Facebook Marketplace, right? But that's not the internet. Like, imagine the internet if it was only Facebook. Things like TikTok wouldn't exist. Things like YouTube wouldn't exist. Instagram wouldn't exist. Like, these are all obviously other platforms, but it's to prove a point, right?
Right.
Every mom and pop shop wouldn't have their websites. You couldn't buy things on Amazon, right? It's all Facebook, and that's what VRChat is today. So once we have the ability to actually have the software to run the internet where all these other websites can exist, I think that's where we're going to see a fundamental shift of like social VR, and that will fundamentally shift social VR hardware.
Okay. Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. So, what about the technology in terms of? I know you're saying that if we went into that direction, you're actually the first person to present this hypothesis of like where VR could actually go, to be kind of an open space where we just kind of go from experience platform to platform freely in VR. You're the first to actually, the first of my guests to actually bring it up in that way. So, what about the technology? Like, where do you see the technology going? Like, headsets, tracking. Where would you like to see it go? Like, I guess in your own like headcanon of the technology as it exists currently, and how you could see it in the future.
I definitely think that things like wearable technology and stuff like that will probably get better. I think what we're going to see is a shift of more AR, like mixed experiences in real life. Like things like, if you're not familiar with it, it's like, having some virtual object or virtual avatar or something in the real world with you because you're wearing like a set of glasses or something, right? Or a headset. I think that's going to start traversing, and those things will probably get more immersive and then eventually circle back to like full immersion VR like we have now. But right now it's just way too like bulky, heavy, annoying. You have tracking issues, you have to set up light boxes, you have to sync your even for Quest and Steam VR, you have to have like a sync program and all these things. I don't think that's going to be, eventually we're going to start streamlining these things, but for that to be streamlined, we need incentives for these companies to do this, right? We need to have people interested in it. It's like the catch-22. People don't like it because it's bulky and heavy and it's weird and they don't have a use for it, but there's no reason to make this equipment less bulky, less heavy, because there's no use, there's not enough people rather. So we're stuck in a little bit of a catch-22 at the moment. But yeah, I think we'll slowly start getting there, and I think we're seeing the moves for it. Like even these companies, right, that are making hardware that is just like better tracking and better things. Like this works because Steam open source the Lightbox system, right? And it's gonna be the same with Basis, right? They're open sourcing the software that will run these experiences or platforms or whatever people decide to make off of it. And that competition of multiple people working on it, competing with each other, will breed the next level of innovation. And with that software, it will open up those hardware companies to now we have access to more people. Let's also innovate on the real life hardware side. And then eventually, when those like hobby companies and all these companies like stop or start having like real competition with like larger companies like HTC and Valve and stuff like that, then they'll also start, you know, iterating and jumping on that as well. Because now there's the people enough to actually have a production line, to actually put money in R&D, to, you know, stuff like that. It's just like it's a cycle that right now it's going slow, but hopefully it will explode.
And what are your thoughts about the like, we'll say Meta recently shared they're kind of moving towards a more mixed reality type deal. They're trying to like really push this idea of mixed reality as opposed to VR or AR. Do you have any thoughts about that? Do you think it's silly? Do you think what they're doing is interesting? What are your thoughts about what's going on there?
I think it's definitely probably a step in the right direction. It's kind of what I was talking about, of more of the like the mixed reality, the augmented reality, AR, same thing.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's very similar. But yeah, it makes sense, right? Because it's taking away that pain point of having this heavy box on your head to use it, right? Which makes it more appealing to people because they can, you know, put it on and either take pictures of their real life or see stuff overlaid with information or things like that. That will eventually get more and more immersive as the hardware like allows it, which will help people eventually, like I said, circle back to like full immersed VR. And I think that's just like just another way to approach it, because they tried doing it immersed, you know, they tried doing it the other way around and it kind of didn't work.
Right.
So hopefully this will work a little better, and I think for more mainstream people, I think it'll be more appealing.
Okay. And thoughts on, you know, in regards to like a full immersion, an immersive experience, what are your thoughts on perhaps, you know, like, are you familiar with Black Mirror at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I do, you know, I'm not very idealistic, but if I were to envision anything to really to turn into something akin to that, it would be like the framework or the basis. I'm not trying to make puns or anything. I just happen to use the word. The standard of like, what is being done with Neuralink. Do you have any thoughts on Neuralink and where that's going? Separate from the person, you know, I know people have their opinions on people, but the technology is what we're getting at. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't think we're gonna see it in our lifetime. I think we're way too. That's a step in the. I don't know. That's like generation or two out at least. I feel like we need to fully understand the brain and like map everything. I think it's yeah, I think it's like way out there. I mean, we can't even put VR in like a set of glasses at the moment. We're not gonna put it in our brain for a long time.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on it. I don't even know if that's like a healthy even thing to aim for, considering how much like AI has broken people and society at the moment. I don't think we need to be deeper integrated with computers. As somebody that spends all their time on computers, so.
Well, I mean,
that's my thoughts.
We're already deeply integrated with computers.
Yeah, and
you know,
I don't think we need to be that level just yet. I think it'll cause like a lot of issues, and I don't even think we're close to that for a long time.
Like, do you?
I think for like Neuralink and I think Apple like recently released demos of it, like for people that are like disabled or like creating a different type of interface to like control things in their environment. I think that's great. Like that's probably the step in the right direction. I don't think a full immersive experience is feasible for a long time, or something we should probably even aim for for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you there. I have my own thoughts, and they largely lean towards the invasiveness of messing with the neurology of someone's brain. That's pretty scary stuff. Right now at least.
It's also yeah.
Yeah.
Also having like a company or software that a company controls running in your brain, that's that's very dystopian.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, very, very Black Mirror-like in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think if it ever does end up that way, it will most likely be corporately, led in some shape or form. And we'll have to contend with that whenever that happens. But yeah, I think it's definitely a long way out. For sure. I am curious about your take on artificial intelligence and what your how you use it as a tool, if you use it in your development process. What do you use AI for, if at all? And what do you think of it as being a tool and a way that can be used to streamline processes, essentially? Because people they have their own opinions about AI because they don't really know very much about it. So how do you view it, and what are your thoughts? And if you use it at all, what do you use it for?
So I use it for basically just repetitive stuff. I think that's the best way to do it. Data extraction, stuff like that. It's not a great thing to be using for things like creative stuff and even creative writing and art and that type of stuff. It's very that's late stage capitalism type thing. In my opinion, it's kind of taking these things that are supposed to be human expression and all right, let's take an amalgamation of everything everybody's made and fucking spit out some slop. It's not great. That's my thoughts on it. I don't know. It's a tool. I think it's one of those things that you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube or whatever.
Right.
The expression is it's out there. We're gonna have to learn how to live with it. It's not great. I think it's anything made by a human is going to be more expressive. It's going to be better. But it's it's I don't know. It's a tool that has its place, but I think right now it's being way too widely used, and it's not a great thing. It's a use with caution type of thing, not everywhere.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Okay. So I do want to shift to discussing your role with Radiant. So I'd like to talk about that a little bit. So for people who don't know, what is Radiant and what is your role in the whole grand scheme of things?
I'm the co-founder of Radiant, and we're basically a gaming org and talent management stream team. And it's basically just taking people that do, mostly VTubing and have some type of online virtual digital presence, and finding a way to support each other. Right? It's kind of one of those things that everybody kind of brings their own knowledge and their own take together, and we kind of just share it amongst ourselves, just to basically elevate everyone in the team, so that it's me and Ava, and then Omega does a lot of work as well, and it's one of those things that we just find ways to support each other. It's not some big mega talent management corp. We're not we don't take X amount of money from each person per month. It's more of a, how can everybody brings a set of knowledge and a unique skill set to the table, and we kind of share it amongst ourselves.
Okay. And what was the impetus for forming Radiant? It's only been around for a relatively short time. I think comparatively so. Maybe like half a year or so, maybe ish, maybe more. Okay.
I think I don't know when the official start was. I'd probably have to ask Ava for that. But that sounds about right. Half a year. It mostly comes back from after we were done with TwitchCon, me and Ava last year. We had a lot of friends that were basically like that we could help out in certain aspects, right? Like talking to brands, talking to like Twitch, talking to whatever, like that we wanted to be able to have something that we can basically help our friends, right? Whether it's with, you know, knowledge or sponsorships or things like that. And this is basically just like a more formal like venture into that. So I mean, my role is just like what I bring, like business tied, like some type of support with that. You know, I help the team out, and then I have knowledge on, you know, some of the marketing stuff. I give my feedback where I can, and then, you know, it's mostly like Ava and Omega and stuff like that that are like day-to-day operations with, like, you know, helping people with streaming, like, oh, we should probably expose this content for you to do good here, and then like collabs and stuff like that. I'll be on a collab from time to time, also like not a streamer or anything like that. Like I don't, that's my audience. But it's mostly, you know, it's like go hang out with friends, but you know, there's a spot open and whatnot. But I mean, that's like my involvement. It's very much like back end of house type stuff that I do.
Gotcha. And is Radiant, it seems like it's largely a group of friends, it seems like?
It started off as that. I think now it's like we're expanding the friend circle, I guess. But it's mostly people that share kind of the same value of like, we want to take stuff a little more seriously. We want to, maybe we need a little support in some sections that we don't understand as well as maybe some of like the team might, like somebody on the team might, things like that. It's for people looking to kind of move from more of a casual like streaming for fun type of thing to maybe, hey, maybe this is like a thing, maybe I can start getting into it, and then we try to help people get to that, like bridge that gap, right, from the, hey, maybe this is something, to like, okay, this is something, like I can start doing this.
And what made you want to take part in this when you already have so many other things on your plate?
Just to help like Ava and the friend group like out with it. Like I said, I'm not that involved with like day-to-day operations, but I help where I can, and that usually ramps up during like events and stuff like that, which is not like my super busy time, but yeah, like I do have a lot of things going on, so I help where I can, but a lot of it is it doesn't take that much out of my day type of thing, so it's like if I can help, I can help.
And what have you helped with so far in terms of like Radiant? I'm just curious. I'm not trying to be like smart. I'm not smart ass about it. You know?
So just like a lot of things we have up and coming for like TwitchCon and stuff like that. We're like organizing some I don't want to say parties, but you know, some events for not in public things, organizing with some of that, you know, relationships in general, and then like some more like corporate side of things. It's a lot easier when you have like something like Jinxxy, so that people that might not be aware of, like individuals on the team, will be aware of like a company that is partnering with certain like streamers and teams and stuff like that. So I already have like my foot in the door with some of that stuff, so it's, you know, like those types of relationships I can easily help with and things like that.
Okay. And you said that the team is expanding, so as the co-founder, what are the credentials? What are like the specifications for people to be on Radiant, aside from taking it seriously or being someone that, you know, that's within the friend group?
I mean, it all comes down to like taking it seriously, essentially. Like that's the easiest way to explain it. But like what that breaks down into is like somebody that's consistently streaming, or it doesn't even have to be streaming. It could be like YouTube videos, or if you do like short form like TikTok and stuff like that. But the like consistency, right? Somebody that's not like exploring still, kind of has found like where they want to be, like their community or like their voice, like as a creator, and then just trying to dig deep into deeper into it, like trying to get more serious about it, trying to devote more time, trying to improve themselves. Like that's basically what we look for. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a number or a size or this amount of followers, but somebody that is on the right track, essentially. Somebody that has like found their voice and has started like trying to grow with that. So I mean that's like essentially what. And then we have like the app, and then it's on our Twitter, join like @joinradiant. And basically the app is like the questions on there kind of poke at that, and then we like do an interview, and then we see if you're like the right fit or not.
Well, I've known about Radiant for quite a bit of time, and I obviously know a few people on the team. So like, I actually did not know there was an application to apply. Yeah, I had no idea. Is there like, well, like, is there like, I guess, like, is it something? I mean, obviously you're assisting with it, and you want to grow, and you're building its notoriety little by little. And obviously everything that starts off takes time. Everything needs time to grow.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, what is the end goal for Radiant? What is the, or rather, what is the, I guess, the initial goal? Like, your initial goal with Jinxxy was to, build a marketplace that can, be available for people to sell their wares, and it actually cares about the user base. So, and with Radiant, what's the intent?
I think the intent is, so this is like, this was like Ayla's thing, and they were like really passionate about it, and I think the intent is just to grow a like group of streamers that are in a group and support each other without the VRChat drama and issues that arise from some of the groups in this community. I think that was like a really big goal, and then I also like have my goal, which is also to like have basically people that I can easily go to try to help showcase things, things that we can collaborate on. Like I have a group of people that I know that I can trust to like do a good job or do something fairly, or cover an event with like seriousness, or depending on like who the person is, like just have a group of people to work with. That's like pretty solid. So I think it comes the two-part goal. We had separate goals, but I think it works out together.
Okay. Why should people join Radiant?
I think it's just a group where each person brings something a little different to the table, and it's not like we're directly competing with each other, right? For the same type of viewers. I think we're trying to build like a different user base for each individual creator. So it's one of those things that if you want to ask for advice from like another creative in the space, I think it's like a nice place to do that. So if that's something like you're into, if you want maybe somebody that can give you like, you can collaborate with, that has, a different user base, or it's like fun to do it, like to do collabs with, but also you don't feel like threatened that they're going to take your users or things like that, or viewers and things like that. It's just everybody brings something unique to the table, which is what I like about it. But it's also, at the end of the day, we can all come together and not only share knowledge, but work together to like move everybody forward, which I think it's a cool thing to have, like to be a part of a group like that.
And you said it's largely a group of streamers. Do you have to be a streamer to join?
No, I mean we just onboarded somebody that is primarily YouTube. Like they're trying out Twitch, And that's like why they joined, right? Because we have a lot of Twitch streamers, and they were giving advice, and we were giving advice on like how to do, how to set up your channel, how to do, your bot commands, how to, advertise your stream and stuff like that. So no, you don't have to. You can do like any form of content. Like you can do, Instagram Reels, TikTok, whatever, YouTube Shorts, YouTube, obviously streaming and stuff like that. But I mean, like, you could also just do podcasts as well, or you can do like, just apply. Like, we'll take a look and we'll see. I mean, that's, like I said, that's another skill set that would be cool to have on the team.
Okay, cool. Like, I'm, I know there are many stream teams out there on Twitch, and this one is relatively new, so I think it's important to like cover those things and get information about those sorts of things. I think a lot of people don't really know about Radiant. I would say, like, I guess well, instead of me assuming, like, how far do you think people have like come to know that Radiant even exists? And do you think that that's still something that can be worked on, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's definitely. I think we're not even at the point yet where we like want a lot of people to know about us yet. I think we're still building out like what would be like our core like group of people, and we're still like refining it, and we're still trying to figure out like a lot of things. Like it's new, but it's more like trying to find the footing, right, as a group, and trying to find what value we provide to like each of our individual members first, and then we'll work on like doing all the marketing and stuff like that. Like it's different from having like one community, right, that's behind one creator, to fostering like a community that can get behind like this diverse group of people. So I mean, we're still finding our footing as well, but I think it's definitely something that it's been promising, and it's for the short amount of time we have like a lot of cool people on it, and have like helped each other as well a lot already. So I think it's working out.
All right, that's good to hear. So so I do have a couple more questions for you. So I'm wondering, where would you like to be 2 years from now? Not in terms of location, but in terms of, life and where you're going, where you're headed, your career, things like that. Not like a location, like I want to be in this place type of thing. That may be that may be something you want in the next 2 years, but I guess for you personally, like in your goals and such, ambitions.
I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. I would love to be a little less busy. Kind of finding my spot and maybe doing like more management versus anything, or more like public facing or stuff like that. And less like having to dig into the code all the time. Personally, I think we're heading there, which is fine, which I like. I don't know. I'm still trying to find my footing with that. Right now it's a little annoying because I'm switching from the hat of having to do business management, plus then having to switch back to coding is like very annoying to me. It takes like a long time for my brain to switch. So hopefully like less of that. Yeah, I mean, I would like to keep the mission the same. I want to keep supporting like individual creators and stuff like that. I think like user-generated content is like really cool. I think like supporting individuals that are like really passionate about what they do, and then like being able to live off of that, right? So they don't have to like, they can focus more on working on their passion and growing and stuff like that. I think it's like really cool. So I want to keep doing that, but I want to do like more big picture, less individually.
So you want to transition from being involved in like business and coding and stuff to more like managing and organizing stuff?
Yeah, I want to do less. Like, I want to be like less having to code the features myself, and more like, hey, somebody get this done, please. But that comes with its own set of challenges. I think it's also the challenge of it. I want to try it and see if I'm good at it, and see like how it goes. But that's like a whole other adventure. Doing the same thing, but like it's a different skill set to grow That'll be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And like what inspires you to do everything that you do, like to like be the person that you are now? Like what is inspiring you? What is driving you right now in your life?
I think it's just like wanting to do better than what's like out there right now. It's just like I think there's like a lot of negative things in the world and a lot of like just people getting like taken advantage of, or like feeling like there's like not a better way. Like you have to take advantage of somebody to get ahead and stuff like that. Like you don't have to do that. Like you could, it's probably not the easiest route, but it's like I think that's like important to like have like, I don't know, just to prove that you can do that. Like you don't have to take advantage of somebody to be ahead. Like you could be good and not you can be good and successful at the same time. They're not like mutually exclusive.
You don't have to step on other people to get to where you need to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I think that's what drives me a lot. Like, yeah, it's just to do that. Like everybody, the pie is big enough that everybody can have a slice, type of thing. So.
All right. So just the desire to, I guess, create things, I guess, authentically and without with a clear conscience, to show people that it can be done in this way without being, being like a very like cutthroat businessman or something, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. You can just make stuff and still be good. You can just do it at a different scale. So we'll see.
Okay. And if you could offer any manner of advice to the people who are listening to this, watching, what advice would you give them? It could be about anything that we talked about. It could be about anything we didn't talk about. What is your like a piece of advice straight from the owner of Jinxxy.com? How can you what do you want to tell the people?
I don't know. You could just do things. Like, just because, like, a lot of people told me, like, you can't do this, or you shouldn't do this, or, whatever. It really doesn't matter. Like, if you want to do it, if you think that it's a good idea, just do it. Like, you can just make stuff. It's fine. Like, don't let people discourage you on that.
And what about the idea of just like the threat of making stuff, like I don't know if I can make this. It's one thing to say just do it, make your dreams come true, yeah. But then actually doing
it. If you're really passionate about it, you'll figure it out. Like we live in a day and age where there's so much information out there. You just have to find it. Like whatever the topic is or whatever it is. You're not gonna build like the whole thing in like especially if it's like a massive project, right? You're not gonna build the whole thing in one day, but like taking those little steps day by day and having like that discipline to do it, like you'll get there eventually. And
I suppose we can go to where can people find you?
So LynxJinxy, JINXXY.com. Or sorry, LynxJinxy on Twitter. There's Jinxxy.com, obviously. I think that's like about it. I'm not really I don't stream stuff like that, so yeah, there's that. That's about it. Yeah.
So what you're saying is they can just send you a support ticket to say hello.
Oh, no, not a support ticket. I mean, my email is lynx, LYNX, @jinxxy.com. Please, no support tickets. But yeah.
And so, what are aside from the revamped Jinxxy website? Is there anything else that you were? Okay. Aside from the Jinxxy.com revamp, aside from Jinxxy Events, aside from Radiant,
So much.
yeah, what else are you? What other things are you working on and looking forward to?
End of the year, we should have something really cool to show off. It involves avatars, it involves VTubers, and maybe VRChat if they're not adverse to the idea. So we'll see.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So, we learned about where you can find links. So I'll share where you guys can find me as well. You can find me over at twitch.tv/Nepherti with 2 eyes. You can also find me over at Twitter at Nepherti with 2 eyes. And when it comes to YouTube, if you're watching this on Twitch, you can find me on YouTube at Nepherti. You can see all past episodes there and other content, other videos that I've made. You can catch it over there as well. All my VODs are also there too. So if you've missed any of my streams, pretty much I would say about 95% of my VODs are there. There are some that've gotten straight up blocked by YouTube because you know how they can be. But you can watch pretty much my very first stream if you wanted to check that out if you want to, or my very first interview. My pilot episode of the podcast. You can literally watch it over at YouTube right now. So yeah, go there, find me there. If you want more information about the podcast and information about the guests that I'm having and other announcements about episodes coming out, you can find more information over at Sweet Talking Pod. That is over on Twitter X. You can find that over there. Not a problem. Very easy to do. And if you'd like to support me in a more direct way, in a more financial way, you can go to my Patreon channel, Patreon page, I guess, patreon.com/Nepherti with 1 eye. I know the eyes are very confusing, but it's just a limitation of my lack of notoriety. So maybe one day I'll be able to be famous enough to just get it to 1 eye, but who knows? The double eyes are kind of growing on me these days, but who knows?
You have to change your VRChat name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do all of that. So right now it's 2 eyes, 1 eye in some places, but the name is Nepherti largely with 1 eye. So patreon.com/Nepherti. If you want to help me out, we have various tiers there that you can take part in, and just be sure to if there's something you want to do there, if you want to help me out, it's right there for you. Totally optional, totally up to you, no pressure. I appreciate any and all support. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the post section of tonight's podcast, and that will be strictly on Patreon, on my Patreon page. So if you want to see that conversation, you'll have to go to my Patreon to watch the rest of my conversation with Jinx. So, but for the rest of you who are watching this right now and maybe watching this live, I want to thank you all for tuning in to episode 60 of the Sweet Talking podcast. I really, really do appreciate that. It's been very, very awesome to have you on, Jinx. It's been yeah, of course. I'm flipping between Lynx and Jinx. I'm not sure what to call you yet.
Everybody does. That's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been great to chat with you. I hope you had a good time.
No, it was great. It was good. Minus the tech issues.
Of course, yeah.
We are, man.
Yeah. You can't always count on it, but hey, we do our best. But thank you all so much for tuning in. I've been your host, Nepherti, with my 60th guest, LynxJinx, founder of Jinxxy.com and co-founder of Radiant. It's been a pleasure to talk with you guys, and I hope if you enjoyed this conversation, please leave a like, please leave a comment, let us know if anything resonated with you. That'd be really, really awesome to see. And as always, I sincerely thank you for any and all support of what is essentially a labor of love that I've been doing for over 2 years now. So I really do appreciate all of you very, very much. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the post section of the content. Again, if you want to see that conversation, you have to hop over to Patreon and become a subscriber, or or you can watch them for just a small fee of $3. Just you can watch the single conversation, $3. Very, very easy if you want to see the conversation. So totally up to you. Totally optional, but that's there if you're interested in that. But for now, thank you for tuning in. We will see you in the next episode of the Sweet Talking Podcast. And until then, take care. And I sincerely appreciate your support. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
But, like, how did you come up with the name LynxJinx? Where did that come from?
Oh my god. Don't mind the tracking issues.
We can take a second.
Yeah,
You can take a second. So, how did you come up with the name LynxJinx? Where did that come from?
Okay. I'm gonna just say that question's cursed.
Yeah, that question is cursed, apparently.
Try to replace artists or do these things is very dystopian and it's very like.
Oh no.